Happy Whiskey Wednesday, everyone. That's right. Whiskey Wednesday. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. I'll say it one more time.
Feels great to say that.
It does. We are back on Wednesday nights for the foreseeable future. And we want to welcome, for those of you on Facebook Live that you guys are tuning in right now, we have Miguel Schoedel. I hate it when I say it like that. You got it in my head that I have to rhyme it now.
Miguel Schoedel. Yes, yeah, I'm here. Thank you for having me. First of all, thank you for having me here in the studio. Thank you guys. I love Columbus and I love being in town, and obviously I love your show. So,
we appreciate you having you back.
Yeah, this is my second time.
That's
and
right.
I was telling Steve, I said both times that I've been here, it's been cold. Twice is a coincidence. 3 times is a conspiracy.
Well, you're coming to Columbus in November.
That's true. That's true.
However, now it is warm in the garage. Warmer.
Wow. The first time I was on your show, it was bone-chilling cold.
And it was at the old studio.
That was the old studio.
The old studio.
That was
down
the old
block.
studio.
Now, this is the
this is the updated.
We pay more for this studio space.
Yeah, a little bit.
Do you have a name for your studio?
Steve's Garage.
Steve's Garage.
Oh, okay, that's cool. No, we have a studio at our office, Crown Head Cigars in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
It's called Studio C.
I like that.
Yeah. So
I like that.
You get down to Nashville, I'll show you our studio.
I would love to come down.
It's actually pretty neat. It's got zebra chairs.
Ooh.
Zebra skin chairs there.
So that sounds amazing. It's slightly nicer than my grandmother's chairs that we're sitting in right now.
Oh, very nice. Oh, at least the plastic aren't on them right now.
That's right.
Grandma
That's
chairs.
Right. Yeah.
You tend to think of that.
But no, we want to thank everyone for tuning in. I'm going to go ahead and share this quickly as soon as Nate is ready on setting up the audio. But we welcome you guys to Whiskey Wednesday. We want to say kudos and good luck and everything to Jake Sanders, who, as you can see, he has not been on. So going forward, we're going to be on Wednesdays. Jake has relocated or is in the process of relocating to Indianapolis. So we're going to try to include him on this podcast as much as we can going forward. But as you can see, we got Nate on, he's got the producer headset on. He's got the cans on. I like that.
The cans.
And then we had Dustin on last week. We're going to have some kind of a rotation of people on this, I think, going through the end of the year. The schedule's going to get a little hectic for a lot of people with the holidays coming up. So I'm interested to see and excited to see where the show can go from this point. So we miss Jake, but we wish him the best of luck, and he is definitely still involved in a lot of the media part of it as far as the Facebook page, the Instagram. He's still an admin and all of that stuff. So I hope he can watch tonight. I know he's busy at Burn Lounge in Indianapolis. That's by Rocky Patel. He's going to be the humidor manager, and we wish him, again, the best of luck. He's going to be opening the first weekend of December. So if you guys are in the Indianapolis area, living there, visiting, definitely check him out there, and he'll take care of you, I'm sure. Have you been in any of the Burn Lounges?
Yeah, they carry the Burn Lounge in Atlanta, carries our product.
Yep.
The Burn Lounge in Pittsburgh carries our product. And I think there's a couple. Naples carries a little bit of our product.
Okay. Well, that's the original one.
The Naples is the original. That's very heavily Rocky, which, totally makes sense.
Absolutely.
Rocky's a good friend of Crown Heads.
Yes.
He's always been a very good friend of ours, with Mike Condor and John Hubert, the 2 owners of Crown Heads. And so as he expanded his Burn Lounges outside of Naples, he definitely wanted us to be part of his humidor.
Yeah, that's great.
So you can find a great selection of Crown Heads at all the locations, and you will be able to find our cigars at the Indianapolis location.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, Nate, before we get started, I see on the GarageBand, if you could delete that and go back to the beginning so we have a fresh file there. Yeah, so with doing Whiskey Wednesdays, going forward, we've got some guests already lined up. We're happy to have Miguel here. And then from here on out, I know up until the holiday, Christmas is on Wednesday. So stay tuned if you guys are going to be tuning in for the live broadcast. It's something that we want to try to stay as consistent as possible. But like I said, with Christmas being Wednesday, New Year's Day is Wednesday. That's the way it's going to fall this year. So stay tuned for the end of this month coming up in December, and we'll figure that out. But we will have an episode next week, the day before Thanksgiving, and we might actually have Jake Sanders back on for that episode, so we're excited about that.
And a special bottle that was gifted to us by one of our viewers.
Absolutely. So, Nate, if you want to go over our sponsors for the Facebook Live people while I go ahead and share my feed here.
Yeah, so episode 94 is brought to you by Tinder Box at Easton Town Center, Columbus, Ohio. They're typically the provider of our first cigar this evening. Not tonight, because we have Miguel from Crown Heads providing our first cigar. Also, thank you to Altadis USA for normally providing our second cigar, but again, Crown Heads is taking care of that one as well. And then BS Cigar Company, Best of Columbus rolled in Nicaragua since 2014.
That's right.
So we are excited to get the golds back in a couple months. Still got the silver, so silver band.
Great cigar.
Good time for holidays. That's coming out of Espinosa's La Zona factory. And so how's traveling, Miguel?
Traveling's been great. This year has been a lot of fun. We've done a lot of events this year at Crown Heads. I've got sales guys all over the country knocking out these events. We call them road shows. Mm-hmm. So if people visit crownheads.com, our website, they can look under road show and see where all of our events are. It's been great. Traveling's been wonderful. I've spent a lot of time on the plane this year, more so than probably ever before. Just preaching the gospel of Crown Heads. And we've had a very blessed year, and people have been very supportive of our brands.
And you moved this year.
I did move. Cincinnati has always been home, will always be home in my heart. But my wife is not a Cincinnatian. She's from the islands and the Caribbean. And so she's always bugged me about having warmer weather. And so we finally moved to South Florida, and she's very happy and very content. I am very hot all the time down there.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're glad that you get to come back here and enjoy 100%, this weather.
100%. Yeah. Last week I was in Buffalo. Yeah. And then all these guys hit me up on social media going, "What are you doing coming to Buffalo?" And I love the cold weather, warm weather. I'll take it all. Yeah. I don't mind it at all. So yeah, traveling's it's been a good year. It's been a lot of fun.
Good. Yeah. Well, I've got it all shared up. Everyone, I encourage you guys while you guys are tuning in at this point or at any point, if you guys want to share to any of your groups, that's what I do. And it seems like we have a lot of good, got a lot of good feedback and a lot of good community out there. So. Go ahead and share it when you can on Facebook, or if you are on the audio, or anything else, YouTube, make sure you share it. We love to kind of get more and more people part of the group.
Well, I got to tell you, I do a lot of these across the country, and I've always been impressed by the show you put on, by the team you got around you. I think it's a wonderful show that promotes a lifestyle of cigars, friendship, and really teaching people about bourbons, and it's really great. I tell guys, when you find a show like this, share it, tag friends in it, and shows like this need to be heard.
That's awesome. We appreciate that.
You guys have a great show here.
Probably every other podcast you've done, they always introduce you as the national sales manager.
They do. But I wasn't going to go there.
Save that. You got to start the audio here. Okay. He's got a line that he likes to do, and I appreciate it.
I do. Okay.
All right, you gonna pop a bottle, or what are you gonna do here?
Bottle. Cork pop may not be that loud, but
we can try it.
Let's try it.
Unless Miguel wants to clean glass.
No, go ahead, please.
We're ready to go.
I like that.
That was nice. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. For those of you that are just tuning in for the audio portion of this in your cars or on your headphones or wherever you're listening, we have a special guest tonight, Miguel Schoedel, and he is from Crown Head Cigars. He is the National Sales Manager.
That is correct.
What a title. We're going to go over a little bit of Miguel's history in the industry. He was on the show, but this was about a year ago. As you said, it was cold then as it is
probably
now.
Almost a year exactly, probably.
It's pretty darn close.
Yeah, pretty darn close.
And with us on, we've got Dustin behind the camera. He's got a microphone that he can participate. He just gave a cheers. We've got content Kyle Smith Photography. Is that the...
Kyle B. Smith.
Kyle B. Smith Photography. He has got a new handle on Instagram. Check out his stuff. We've been posting his pictures.
Kyle B. Smith.
That
could easily be a rap name.
I think he does rapping.
Yeah,
as
he
well.
does. He does that. Yeah,
that's Kyle B. Smith rapping or music or whatever. This is the photography page.
Well, I mean, he's got the track pants and the Jordans.
He does. I was going to say he has track pants on, a Bulldogs hoodie on, and the Jordans on. I mean, the guy.
See if we can get him on the mic here.
Well,
and lay down a few. I don't know this lines.
Stanzas.
Earlier,
call them stanzas.
Definitely not stanzas.
No line. No.
Spit some lyrics.
Spit some lyrics. There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's what the kids are saying.
He was asking earlier. He was like, "Hey, are they going to put down some cardboard on the floor?" He was going to break dance for us. It was pretty neat.
I can see it. And you already heard Nate Hale. Nate is going to be doing the producing / co-hosting / whatever you want to call it. But that's why if you're watching, he's not cold and has earmuffs on. He actually has his, what you called it, Miguel.
The cans.
The cans. So, and Ray Chesser's already saying what the fuck. I don't know what that means, but hopefully he's tuning in all right.
Hello, Ray.
Hey, Ray. Welcome from
Vietnam.
Yeah, Vietnam. Excuse me. Yeah.
Wow.
So tonight we're going to be doing something different. So last year when Miguel was on, he not only brought some great cigars from Crowned Heads, but he also brought what he really likes to drink, even though this is the Bourbon and BS podcast, and we do have a lot of bourbon. I've got some Four Roses small batch. I know Nate's got like 8 bottles. Dustin usually has about 8 bottles. We have a whole shelf up there with a lot of bourbon, but we are going to have a rum night in honor of Miguel being here.
Yeah, so last time I came, I brought a bourbon because I thought that would be the thing to do. So I brought some Rabbit Hole, I think it was called.
It was Rabbit
Hole, and then I brought with me a rum that I really enjoy, and so it was Zacapa. I think I brought Zacapa.
Zacapa 23 Solera.
Yes, and look, I'm a rum guy, and who drinks rum? Pirates drink rum, and what do pirates do? They hijack a show. So I've hijacked your bourbon show and turned it into
that's
the
about right.
rum show.
Yeah,
yeah, but you know,
I do really like. This rum. What are we going to be drinking tonight?
So I have brought with. There's a lot of rums I could bring because I'm a rum geek. I'm a rum fanatic, but I chose tonight the Diplomatico, and the Diplomatico is a rum out of Venezuela. Mm-hmm. It's a very this really stands out on the shelf because it's not a It's not a what they refer to as a like a mushroom bottle, but it's sort of in that spirit of the way the old rum bottles used to be made. And this one is made in Venezuela. It's a very popular rum. This is probably in my top 5.
Top 5 rums.
Favorite rums.
Worldwide
for me. And so I'm a huge fan. This is the Reserva Exclusiva. They do have a couple other blends as well, but I'm just a big fan of this particular rum.
And as am I.
It's my favorite.
Yeah. You've got a healthy pour over there, Nate, so I would say so.
Yeah, he was asking for a straw earlier, and I said, you don't need a straw.
No, I wanted a sippy cup.
It's a good rum. It's got a different frosted look to it. You know what I mean? So it definitely stands out. It's like greenish.
Yeah, it's like a greenish bottle.
Yeah.
And I really do think they kind of, I don't know this for a fact, but just being a rum junior historian or whatever, a lot of the old, I think they called them mushroom bottles, it sort of had that bulge. Yeah. Kind of had a bulge, had a short stem on it, and a lot of them had that frosted green kind of look to it. So I think that they did this bottle kind of in honor of the old rum bottles, and it's just dynamite. And I tell guys out there, look, you can probably get it between $40 to $50 depending on the state you live in.
I think it's 49 here, or 40.
I think about $42 is what I paid for it here in this great state of Ohio.
Yeah, I think for $40 or so, it's a great bottle.
Yeah, wonderful bottle.
We're also going to be smoking tonight the newer edition. Not the newest, because that one hasn't come out yet, but the newer edition of the Juarez by Crowned Heads.
Yes.
And it's a, you guys call it a budget stick, or budget cigar, for you guys.
For us, it's a budget cigar.
It's actually in the brochure as a budget. Is that
budget friendly? This is a pocket friendly. Look,
value driven
brand. It is the little cousin of Jericho Hill.
Yeah.
So we have a line called Jericho Hill, and Jericho Hill takes its name from a fictitious town from a Johnny Cash song called Cocaine Blues. Mm-hmm. And so in the song, the guy basically shoots his old woman down in Jericho Hill.
Love song.
Love song.
Love song.
And the police are after him, the law. And basically he runs the Juarez, Mexico, where they finally run him down. So this is the little cousin to Jericho Hill. This product MSRP is between, let's say, $6 to $8.
Yeah.
Depending on your state and your taxes, it could be a little bit more. Comes in 3 vitolas. And we wanted something that kind of that sub $8 that I would love to, be able to get some guys that maybe are $9 to $12 cigars or maybe a little bit out of their reach. And this is a great, I think, entry into our line. And for a guy who maybe smokes our Jericho Hill or smokes our La Imperiosa on a regular basis and wants to fill in the gaps in between, now they can do it with a Crowned Head cigar. And what's unique about the Juarez is that we've gone outside of our traditional partners. So Don Pepin from the My Father Cigar Factory makes a lot of our blends. Ernesto Perez Carrillo, EPC, he makes the majority of our blends. And Drew Estate makes a lot of stuff for us as well. So we actually reached out to a good friend of mine, Luciano, And he owns a factory with a Cuban friend of ours called Tabacalera Pichardo.
Where is that?
It's in Esteli, Nicaragua.
Okay.
And Pichardo's from Cuba. My buddy Luciano's from Brazil, and they have a great factory down there. And they wanted to produce something for us. And so Juarez is the first cigar that we've produced with them. And it's been a tremendous hit, and it's been out a very short amount of time.
It really has. I know at our shop here, Tinder Box at Easton, who's one of our sponsors, it definitely has. We had only 2 boxes, so we want to try them out, and then immediately we had to reorder. And I know we have more coming, or actually, more coming in this week.
Yeah.
So
this week or next week, you'll get some more.
Yeah. So it's definitely been a hit. So I wanted to ask, though, one of the things that we get asked in the retail side of things, or when people are researching online, they're trying different things, they're going online, they're buying cigars, whatever it might be, is you say this is value-driven. So that actually, for me, what we get is the first question is, well, why is this cigar, $8 where the big brother, the Jericho Hill, is $3 more?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a fair question.
I think
as a consumer out there, you're looking at it and you just can't. You're like, well, I mean, they both smoke well. Like, why is this one cheaper?
Well, I think there's so many factors that go into that. Just some of the factors would be the tobacco that you're choosing for the filler. Some of the tobacco that you're choosing for the wrapper.
Right.
It could be packaging. It could be the box. It could be the band. It could be the there's a lot of different layers to what makes a cigar a certain price. So Tom Lazuka, who's a good friend of mine, he is the owner of Asylum Cigars. I've heard a couple interviews that he's done, and he's talked about price difference on cigars. But when you go in to do a value price cigar, the mentality is a little bit different. Right? When you go in, for example, we have a new cigar coming out called La Colisión. When we went to blend that cigar with Drew Estate and Willie Herrera, price was not a factor to us. It was show us the best tobacco, show us what the best of the best, let's blend it, and let the pieces fall where they will as far as the final price.
So there was no basis. I mean, when you were looking at the tobaccos, you were just like, give me everything, let's go after it. Yeah.
When you're working on a value project cigar, and I can only speak for Crown Heads, for us part of it is, hey, we want to do a cigar that's going to be $6 to $8. Show us what we can use that will get us to that price point. And people forget that tobacco is sold by the pound, and sometimes the tobacco you're buying may not look as pretty, but may smoke identical to the tobacco that's twice as much per pound because of the look of the tobacco.
Now, that's any of the tobacco, or is that like wrapper?
That could be wrapper, it could be filler, it could be a binder. Obviously, more to do with the wrapper.
I would imagine with being appeal as far as the aesthetics of it, yeah.
So that can play into it as well. Sometimes you have 2 tobaccos from the same farm. They have identical flavor, but have very different looks to them, right? Aesthetics, right? And so that can also play into the factor. So when we worked on this cigar, it's a good friend of mine, as I said, his factory. He has his own cigar brand out called Ace Prime. They're starting to get out there right now. And they said, look, we have some great tobacco set aside. It has some really good age on it. And we want to do this project for you, and we're going to make it work. We're going to get where you want to get. And so for us, everyone that has smoked this cigar, I realize I work for the company, but everyone who smokes this cigar says, man, I can't tell the difference between this and a $10 cigar. That to me is a big compliment, and that means a lot to us. You can probably see the band is not as elaborate. Maybe the box isn't as elaborate. And it's really about just creating a cigar at an entry level. Maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that would have been a $4 cigar. Now it's a little bit different. And it's turned out to be great for us.
Well, and the wrapper leaf, to your point where you're saying there, is that like the wrapper leaf is something that it's not necessarily what they call like more rustic, I think is the word that a lot of people will use in the industry, is that it's more rustic looking, which basically means it's a little rougher. It's got more bumps in it, more veins. It's you can see the roll a bit more. It's not necessarily like a finesse roll or whatever you want to call it. And the ash on it, and it sounds like I'm dogging the cigar, but like the ash on it's, sometimes a tad bit flaky, but that makes sense then, because when you actually smoke it though, and the flavors you're getting and the way it smokes and the balance and the depth of the flavor, I mean, there's definitely a lot there.
Yeah, it's when you're working on different projects, you may start off with an idea, and where that ends can be totally This blend was actually originally worked on for Germany as an exclusive to Germany.
With your company?
With our company, yeah. And the distributor out there felt like it was a little too powerful for the market he was going for. Yeah. And so we brought it back here, and we released it, and people absolutely loved it. Ace Prime, who makes the cigar for us, Tabacalera Pichardo, look, they have tobacco. They have cigars that retail $10 to $17.
Yeah.
But they also have tobacco available because they grow a lot of tobacco at incredible prices to us. So it really allows us to play with some tobacco that we're able to bring at this price point. I could tell you if this was made in another factory, it'd probably be $2 or $3 more per stick.
Really?
Yep.
But with the look of it, like I was talking about too, with everything you're saying, it'd be tough to look at this cigar as is. Now you could dress it up with, like you said, maybe a fancier band.
Yeah. Yep.
Put it in a nicer box, and maybe even play up the rustic side of it as part of the packaging. You know what I mean? Not just let it speak for itself, but I mean, it'd be tough to see it as is and say like, oh, it's a $12 cigar on the shelf. You're like, well, that doesn't look like a $12 cigar.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is a shame that you have to do that.
Well, it's like anything. We eat with our eyes. As someone, you could go to a 5-star restaurant, and there's a reason why your food comes out looking the way it does.
Yeah,
that's
right.
That food would taste just as good if it was a mess on your plate.
Yeah,
but your mind plays a lot into that. And
it's about the presentation.
It is. Everything's about presentation. And look, there's so many cigars that are in that price point. And I will tell you that we have reordered this cigar from the factory already like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, it
has been a whirlwind out there for us. And guys are saying, man, this is great. This is guys that maybe our price point was a little too high for them. This is getting them into the Crown Heads family. And so for us, it's done exactly what we wanted it to do.
It's a good strategy.
And a lot of guys have been raving about the blend.
Well, you don't have to go too much higher in the price point to go to your next steps, like the Jericho Hill, like the La Imperiosa, 4 Kicks,
CHC,
Headley Grange,
yeah,
all that stuff. And we got a lot of people watching right now. Kylie from Nat Sherman is disappointed we did not do a clink. So, Miguel, if we could do a quick clink here by your microphone here. Yeah, this is for Kylie. Sorry to blow out your speakers. That might have blown out some speakers. There you go, Kylie. Nate, what do you think of this cigar? I mean, I know you've smoked a couple.
I've smoked a few of them.
Yeah, you smoked a handful. What do you think of this? And this is the what size, Miguel?
This is the OBS.
OBS, so which is
under 5 inches.
Oh. Okay. So it's under 5 inches.
Yep.
So it's kind of almost like a Rothschild Robusto.
Yeah, it's sort of a Rothschild. It's a 52 ring gauge, and it's under 5 inches. And so this cigar, OBS, stands for Orange Blossom Special, which is a song by Johnny Cash. And this is probably the top-selling size. Yeah. We have another size, which is a 5x56, and then we also have a 6x54 Toro.
I think that I haven't smoked, I don't think, this one. This is the shortest one.
Uh-huh.
So we carried the middle and the longest, the Toro.
Mm-hmm.
And the Toro actually outsold it quicker.
They call that one the Willie Lee.
The Willie Lee.
And then the one that's like the Robusto Gordos is the Jack Brown.
Jack Brown.
Which
are both names from the song Cocaine Blues.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's interesting, though, that you say that this is the best seller.
This is the best seller.
Yeah. And it smokes well. All 3 of them, now that I've smoked all 3, have smoked well. But, Nate, what do you think of this cigar? I mean, like, as far as we haven't gotten into the rum yet. Well, we've gotten into the rum yet, but we haven't talked about the rum yet. With the Juarez, what are you thinking here?
So, I think if you're going just by the look of it, I think this would be a sleeper cigar because, like you said, it doesn't have that fancy band. It doesn't come in a fancy box. It's a very plain white box. But I remember when we first got them in, I definitely wanted to try one, and I was very surprised by how good this cigar was for what the price was. Not that I was expecting a bad cigar from Crown Heads. I never do, but with where this came in at, like I was thinking of some of the other budget cigars that I've had in the past, and this just had so much more flavor and better construction than a lot of those inexpensive cigars that I've had before.
Yeah.
And you said it was a cousin of the Jericho Hill. Regardless of price point, I think I would take this over the Jericho Hill.
That's high praise. That's high praise.
Because I love the flavor. San Andreas wrapper.
San Andreas, yep, Mexican San Andreas.
I love it. It's got a lot of flavor, but it doesn't have any of the bite or bitterness that sometimes I've gotten from other San Andreas wrappers before. What's the rest of the makeup?
So
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but hang on 1 second here. Got the microphone. We're still working on the audio here, but so it is going to be a Connecticut broadleaf binder.
What? Juarez?
No.
Mexican San Andreas
Wrapper.
I'm actually
binder.
looking at it. I just didn't.
Binder's Ecuador binder.
I'm way off.
Nicaraguan and Dominican filler. Now, I will tell you that you're not the first one to say that about the wrapper.
Really?
I've had several people call me and say, dude, I love this broadleaf Juarez. And I go, no, it's actually Mexican San Andreas.
Damn.
Yeah.
I thought there was broadleaf somewhere in this thing. That's crazy.
Look, we only disclose so much, but, I will tell you this.
You can't get broadleaf anymore. That's
broadleaf is... Yeah, if you got a good connection, would you hook me up?
I know some people.
You know some people?
They're in a different business. It's a related business, but it's a different business.
When you smoke Juarez, just think about the old street you used to live on.
San Andreas.
That's right.
San Andreas.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I moved, it was from San Andreas, and when I told Miguel that, he was hoping that it'd be like Broadleaf
Way or something like
Criollo Place.
Criollo Place. Not going to find that in Columbus.
Typically not.
Probably not.
I don't think so. Maybe down south somewhere.
Maybe.
When Miguel was
Cuba.
When Miguel was on, you still lived on San Andreas, and weren't we smoking the Buckeye Land?
We were smoking the Buckeye
which has a San Andreas wrapper as well?
No, Mexican San Andreas.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yes.
That has a broadleaf.
Got in my mind.
No, that's got a broadleaf binder, right?
Yes.
The Buckeye Land.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
That's
of.
what you were
God
thinking.
Damn it.
Yeah,
I featured that on Tasty Tuesday this week, and that's what was in my mind. So my fault.
You screwed yourself up there, Steve.
Yeah,
but
I saw that.
enjoyed both, so I'm okay.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So, Miguel, in your portfolio, based on what Nate said, what's your take on it?
On Juarez?
You sell it, you smoke it, you're part of the business. So, I mean, if we can get your honest opinion of the cigar.
It's very...
You've already thrown it in the... You're already done with it. Oh,
no, this one here.
What's that one?
That one I dropped. And I didn't know how clean the studio was.
You could probably not want to eat off this floor.
Yeah. So I lit up a new one in a place.
I've swept it a few times.
I'll say this. When this blend was... I was not a part of the blending process. That's
okay.
John Huber and the gentleman at the factory, Luciano and Pichardo. But when the samples came in, I was with John, and we were smoking them. And John and I both were blown away. Blown away. We thought the quality of the rolling job, the tobacco, it hit on every cylinder for our palates. Yeah. We thought this is exactly what we want. And when Germany passed on it, because they thought it was a little too strong, so we had to go back and work on another blend for them that was a little bit milder.
And that's been accomplished.
And at this point. Yeah. And so John and I believed so much in this blend that John said, I'm going to find a place for this blend. Now, look, John works on hundreds of blends a year, and only a very small amount of them make the cut, right? He knew as soon as he smoked the blends, I want this, and I want this for a particular project. Fast forward, after you work on it and you blend it into sizes that you want and you taste them, we both felt like the blend on this really reflected well on a little bit larger ring gauges. Anyone knows Crown Heads, we stick to a lot of 46s and 50s.
Yeah.
And so,
which I really appreciate.
Thank you. And so for us, doing the 52, the 54, the 56, this blend I think shined really well in that. And so I am immensely proud of the job that Tabacalera Pichardo Ace Tobacco did, Ace Prime did on this cigar.
Yeah.
And so I was very geeked about getting it in the hands of the consumers. And it's your baby, right? John works on these things. He puts his heart and soul in every blend, and you put it out to the world, and you hope that people enjoy the product. We smoke cigars for many reasons in life, and a lot of them are celebration, relaxation. So you're really partaking in people's part of their life. And so far, it's been a huge hit.
Yeah.
Tremendous attention to it. And it's been just a tremendous success so far. And so you feel very that confirmation that what we believe in the blend is what the consumer is enjoying, and it's been a It's been great.
Well, you've also been on that side of it where you actually blended a cigar in one of your previous companies that you worked for. It was your baby. You blended it. You put it out there with the company, and
the cigar you're talking about was from years and years ago, and
I loved it.
I loved it too. And if it was a record in the music business, it would have gone copper. That's
how many. Good?
No, that's bad.
Oh,
well, that's better.
Yeah. There's platinum, right? There's gold.
I thought copper was really, really high.
No,
I don't hear about it much.
Well, because it doesn't happen.
The price of copper's high. I mean, that's higher than 10.
Yeah. Okay. It went 10. It went concrete.
I think it was better than 10.
It was a lot of fun, and that company I worked for was bought out, so that brand had to disappear. But yeah, so I've been a part of that. I don't call myself a blender at all. Luckily, working alongside John Huber and Mike Conder of Crown Heads, they value my opinion, and so many of the samples come my way that we're working on, and they take my input, and I feel very blessed to do that. I've been in the business 17 years. And so I feel very, very lucky that I've spent a lot of time in Nicaragua, the Dominican Republic, Honduras, and I feel very blessed that not only am I on the sales side, but I have a lot of experience on the tobacco side as well.
Absolutely, and the history side.
Yeah.
We had a lot of questions as far as a Facebook Live about the construction of the cigar. We kind of talked about the look of it, but as far as we had Woogie that was actually asking about the roll. He's all about the roll and the draw. You know, he's a huge Padron anniversary, 26. You know, any of
legendary
the special,
cigar.
the special. You know, as far as the different, the 40, the 85, all the high end Padrones, and his biggest thing with those that he always will talk about on here, and then when he's around is that draw. That's his biggest thing, because he is. Doesn't matter if it's a $5 cigar, a $30 cigar, or whatever, somewhere in between, or even above that. That if it's not going to draw. It's a problem. Now, I'll say we were talking about the Jericho Hill versus the Juarez, and I think you guys kind of brought that up because of the way that you're kind of marketing it and everything else. I've had some Jericho Hills. That's a soft box press. Would you call it soft? Yeah. Soft box press. I've had a few of those that have had stiffer draws. Never plugged, but stiffer draws.
Stiffer draw, yeah.
So to answer Woogie out there, this cigar, I would say, draws very effortlessly. But at the same time, it's not airy.
It's not underfilled.
Yeah, so it's actually, especially, again, and now we say for the price point, $8 cigar is not cheap.
I agree.
Cheaper. It's less expensive.
Well, let me say this. I think that when we're making petite Coronas, when we're making pyramids, when we're making 46 ring gauges, or we're doing Lanceros, to get the draw right, that is a job.
Those are higher end rollers, right?
Yeah, those are harder sizes to roll, right?
Absolutely.
When you're working with 52, 54, and 56, and you have a plug cigar, you have a serious problem. It is very hard. I think you've dealt with that. Oh my God,
you know that story.
If you have a plug cigar and you're over 50 ring gauge, there's a serious problem there.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that the rollers at Tobacco Letter Pichardo are some of the best gentlemen and women that I've met that are rollers in the business. He has top-notch rollers at his factory, and the way he treats his rollers are really fantastic, and that's why they continue to work for him. Him and Pichardo, Luciano, they treat them like family, and they do a great job. And so that was a big part of. Yeah. Look. You mentioned it earlier. I could give you the rarest cigar in the world. I could give you a cigar that was rolled in 1950, and it's the best tobacco in the world, and it's the most well-aged, and you're going to lose your mind when you smoke it. If you have a bad draw, it destroys the experience.
Again, it doesn't matter what the price is.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter. I've had cigars $30 with bad draws. I've had inexpensive cigars with bad draws. The idea in this industry is consistency.
Absolutely.
And you want that cigar to taste today as it will taste 5 years from now, and you want everyone to have a good experience. Now, as we know in this business, there are going to be opportunities or things that happen where you will have draw issues once in a while, but I think overall Crown Heads, working with EPC, Don Pepin, working with Drew Estate, and now Tobacco Letter Pichardo, I think we've been very blessed to have great companies with great rollers, making our product.
Well, it's blessed, and I mean, it's a strategy thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, speaking on the point of actually the flavors of it, so you talk about the consistency. I mean, again, we talk about construction and everything else. I think the last point, maybe, we talked about the marketing.
Yeah.
The last point is the flavor.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest, like for this one, it's tough for me to pinpoint. I'm not going to look at your brochure. It's tough for me to pinpoint the flavors.
Let me throw a couple flavors out to you.
All right.
And see if it makes sense. Chocolate-covered coffee bean.
Okay.
That's the number one flavor I get off this.
I get it.
I get dark chocolate.
Like those
I get
espresso beans.
Espresso
right?
beans. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
So. Yeah, not coffee. I get the espresso.
Yeah. Espresso beans covered in chocolate. That's
which is like
what
a palate
I get.
cleanser sometimes.
Yes.
Which is ironic.
Yes.
So smoke this cigar between others. To cleanse your palate.
So I was at a shop, and a good buddy of mine gave me some espresso beans covered in chocolate, and I popped one in my mouth. And I'm not a coffee drinker, perhaps. This is not my thing. As soon as I started eating it, I thought Juarez. I was like you, where I was like, it's hard for me to really pinpoint a particular flavor.
It is.
And when I tried that, it just opened it up to me. So that is the number one flavor I get. I get a roasted espresso bean, and I get dark chocolate.
There's a bit of that like toasted, note to it. There's not a whole lot of pepper, maybe on the back, like in the.
If you retrohale it, you'll get a little bit of black pepper, but very little, very little.
But I mean, I will say, and I don't know if it's just the garage, but we had the garage doors shut last week as well during most of the podcast. This has got some thick smoke.
And that's what I love about this cigar. When you
chewy,
smoke. Like,
very chewy.
I mean, it's going to be chewy because I can barely see Dustin or Kyle in the garage right now. I mean, it's definitely cloudier in here than it has been.
Yeah,
that's one thing that I love about a cigar. When I can sit there and just take a couple of short draws and just get this huge white cloud of billowing smoke coming out. I mean, I love that aspect of experiencing that cigar.
What other notes are you getting, Nate, if you have any? To the viewers, and then I'm going to actually look at this, or just look to Miguel.
I mean, going into it, I've smoked it a few times, and I couldn't really pinpoint anything in particular. But when Miguel said it, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And I'd been retrohaling it right before that, and you do get some black pepper coming out of it, but it's nothing. It's nothing overpowering. It's nothing that is going to make you kind of start watering up and tearing up in the eyes. But it's just got an absolutely great flavor. There's no bitterness to it, which like I said earlier, some people do get that from Mexican San Andreas. I don't get that at all.
I agree.
And it's not an overpowering cigar either. Like it's nothing that's going to blow out your palate. Like you could
smoke another cigar after this and be fine.
Yeah, and you'd still be able to taste that other cigar as long as it wasn't something too mild.
The way I describe this cigar is medium strength, full body.
Yes,
because strength medium on this cigar is medium, dead center medium in strength. But the body and body to me is the smoke, the chewiness of the smoke, the thickness of the smoke that covers your palate. Is a very full-flavored cigar.
It almost coats your palate.
It does. Heavily.
Yeah. So I would even say, and it's also full-flavored.
Full-flavored.
Yeah. Well, I think those two are different, too. I mean, there's just a lot of different flavors. It's complex. And I'd be really interested, and I'm going to actually have to look this up going forward, is some of the blog sites, the review sites, what they list off.
Cotton candy, nutmeg,
salt, anise.
Fruity Pebbles.
Yeah, it's got a lot. Dustin?
I get a lot of velvety smoothness from it. Like you get
velvety smoothness?
Yeah.
Like red velvet cake? What do you...
No cake.
Are you talking about more like that whole, like the body of it? The
chewiness that chewiness. So it's definitely full body.
Yep.
But it's just got that nice subtle smoothness to it, just like a smooth velvet. It rolls so nicely.
I think that's that chewiness.
I agree with you.
Yeah, but that's a good description of it.
I would agree with you. After you blow out the smoke and you don't take another puff, you get this kind of velvety kind of on your palate. I agree with you. An interesting thing is that when you take a drink of something like the Diplomatico rum, do you need some more?
Yeah, I was going to say, pass it over here. Nate, do you need more?
Sure.
I'm kidding. It really cleans your palate, and you kind of start fresh every time you take a drink of something like this.
Yeah.
It really cleans that silkiness off your palate, and you're ready to go again.
So that's a good segue into the rum. I mean, you already said it, I think, on the audio part of it, as far as it's Venezuelan.
Yep, Venezuelan rum, Diplomatico, one of my favorite rums, Reserva Exclusiva. This is the green bottle with
Is this their top tier? I know, like, as far
they
as
have another tier
around.
They have another tier.
You got the Blanco. There's like
an orange label.
Yeah, I forget what the middle one. Maybe it's
They do have a higher end ones.
Is that Añejo, maybe?
I don't think they call it an Añejo.
I don't know.
But I will tell you that Diplomatico is, as far as rum goes, I'm a big rum drinker from Spanish-speaking islands. So with rum, whatever country it's made from, what language they speak, traditionally tells you what kind of rum they produce.
Explain that to those of us that are not from the area.
Okay, so
explain to it as if I was like, I grew up in the suburbs of the Midwest.
Okay, all right.
Not saying I did, but hypothetically.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Very white and very suburban and very middle class.
Absolutely.
So very cultural.
Oh, well, the last name like Rodriguez, I totally thought you were related to me. Steve Rodriguez. So, Esteban. So, there's exception to every rule. Traditionally, what you have is the English have always enjoyed a stronger, more naval, kind of fuller-bodied rum.
Now, are you saying UK or American?
UK.
English. UK.
Okay. And they've always tended to like a much stronger rum.
Yeah.
So many of the English-speaking islands in the Caribbean, such as Jamaica, or the U.S. Virgin Islands or British Virgin Islands, Barbados, Bahamas. Traditionally, those islands that were colonized by the British produce a very British-style rum, much more fuller-bodied rum. And the French islands, traditionally, and so the English and Spanish-speaking islands both drink what we call rum industrial, which is made from the byproduct of rum, which is molasses. Traditionally, the French-speaking islands they use the 1%. They use actual sugarcane juice, and they produce a rum called rum agricole, which is about 1% of all rum that's produced.
What are we drinking here?
You're drinking molasses-based rum.
Okay.
And so they produce a rum that is much closer to a cognac to what more the French were drinking at the time as they colonized the Caribbean and Latin America. So their rum tends to be very fine grade, very high-end, typically rums, and a very flavorful. It's like a cross between what you get from a Spanish-speaking island and an English-speaking island. So they produce a rum agricole. Now, the Spanish-speaking islands were heavily influenced by Don Facundo Bacardi. He was the one who really spearheaded taking rum, which was called Kill Devil. It was very rough, very, very rough rum.
Sounds like a strong name.
Yes, and so that was the nickname of rum, was Kill Devil. And so it was a very edgy drink, right? So he was the one that really created a distillation process that really made rum very smooth, and very crisp, and very clean. And he was from Cuba. Bacardi in English would be Bacardi.
There you go.
And so his rum influenced all the other Spanish-speaking islands of Latin America and Caribbean. So rums from Guatemala, rums from Dominican, rums from Cuba, rums from Puerto Rico tend to follow his lead and produce a much smoother rum.
Did you say Guatemala?
Guatemala, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the one you liked.
Zacapa.
Yeah.
So traditionally, if the rum is whatever language that island or country speaks, traditionally, you kind of know what kind of rum to expect from that island because it's hundreds of years of tradition.
Yeah.
And so we are drinking a Venezuelan rum, which was colonized by the Spaniards, who then follow in line with Bacardi with his distillation style process, charcoal filters and such, and which produces a rum that you would find very similar to the Dominican, to the Cuban, to the Guatemalan
very
rum.
Familiar, yeah.
Yeah.
Ray Chester asked, or he says that he believes and I don't know if there's any history to this, the French rum is lighter, so you can carry it while running away.
Oh, wow.
While waving a white flag.
That is the Francais. Well, look.
Ray is from, he's from the UK. He's traveled the world. He now lives in Vietnam. But, there's some. So I don't think there's much history behind that.
No.
Not proven history.
Rumors. Rumors.
From people from the UK, probably.
Yes, all from UK.
Probably.
So Nate, let's go back to this. What were you going to do? Something over there?
Give me a second.
All right, he's going to do something over there. All right, Miguel, you brought this. Compared to Zacapa, like, is this your is this where you said top 5 rums?
Top 5 rums for me.
Like the 5th, or is it going to fluctuate?
It fluctuates between 4 and 5.
Okay.
Yep, 4 and 5 for me.
Okay.
So Zacapa to me is my absolute favorite.
Everything. Which one?
If the 23 Solera.
If you last time, yeah.
If I was stuck somewhere and they said you could only choose one liquor, it would be Zacapa.
It's a nice place to get stuck.
Yeah, and so Zacapa to me is a rum that has a sweetness, a very pronounced sweetness and caramel flavors, which I really enjoy.
Yeah.
This rum to me has the same smoothness as Zacapa, but you get a much fruitier flavors. I get banana peel. I get orange peel.
Orange peel.
Big time on this.
I get it's almost like a cocktail.
Yes.
Like so this reminds me of maybe not the best, but it reminds me of an old fashioned.
And people do make old fashions with Diplomatico rum.
Yeah, well, it's a great starter kit because you're already halfway there. I feel like with that orange peel, it's got that sweetness, that sugar to it. You know what I mean? So it's almost like you throw an ice cube or two in this, and I bet you there's some people at some bars that you just pour this in a glass, couple ice cubes or whatever,
orange peel
on the
and they would
on
think,
top, and you're like, here you go, and they're like, oh, this is one of the best old fashions I've ever had.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting because that's a lot with us doing the bourbon BS. Normally we're doing bourbons, doing whiskeys, and it's interesting how that sometimes you use something like a whiskey and basically through a cocktail try to create a little bit of this type of flavor, this sweetness, that fruitiness as you talked about.
The history of rum, very much cocktails were a big part of the history of rum, and that's how most people experience rum. And that was because at the time that rum was known as Kill Devil, at that time rum was so edgy and so strong. Yeah. You had to mix it with pineapple juice, coconut water. You had to mix it with those tropical flavors to even get it down. So today, obviously, many cocktails are made with rum. Tiki absolutely. Cocktails, and that is really from that history. And there's a couple things I like to say about rum. One, I think the majority of your viewers drink bourbon and whiskey.
Yeah, I think by far, yeah.
And I know that bourbon and whiskeys can be very expensive.
They are getting more and more expensive.
more expensive. Yeah. I think for a lot of people are scared to drink rum for 2 reasons. One, they had a bad experience in college because rum is very cheap. And so people would make these huge mixers in college. They would use cheap rum. Yeah. And so people had that bad experience. 2, sometimes if you're drinking really fine bourbon and you look at this bottle and it's $42, you go, there's no way that can be good.
It was not marketed that way for years.
Yes. Yeah. And so I think people who drink rum, you have to put away that college experience. You have to put away the thought of price equals quality. Just like Juarez can smoke as good as a $14 cigar,
good plug.
You have to put that out of your mind and really come to a nice, well-aged rum with an open mind.
Yep.
And really experience what rum can bring to the spirits industry. Guys that are drinking scotch and bourbon, it's okay to have rum, a well-aged rum. Now, saying that, I'm going to say this, and this is my plug to people to drink rum. You ready for this? This is my sales pitch. You ready for this? If I took all you guys down to see a cigar factory, if I took you to Cuba, Dominican Republic, Honduras, or Nicaragua, the people that are rolling your cigars, the people that are growing the tobacco, the people that are making the boxes, the people that are hand in hand with this tobacco, what do you think they drink?
Rum.
They drink rum. Cuba, Dominican, Nicaragua, Honduras, they drink rum. Those are rum countries.
Yeah.
Rum has been paired up with tobacco. Tobacco is a product from the Americas. The Europeans didn't have tobacco until after the 1500s. Tobacco has been enjoyed by the indigenous people of the Caribbean, the Taino, the Awak, the natives and Aztecs, the Mayans, the Incas. Longer, that's where tobacco comes from. And rum, the majority of rum is produced in those same kind of countries, in Latin America, the Caribbean, right? And sugarcane was brought to the Caribbean and it flourished. So rum and cigars, tobacco, have been paired up longer than any other spirit. And the people that make your cigars are drinking rum. So there has to be, in my opinion, there has to be a connection. And much of the sugar cane, much of the sugar cane is grown. Tobacco, sugar cane, they share the same, I think the French call it terroir, the same land, the same earth.
Yeah.
And so there is a connection there. And so I think bourbons and scotches are fantastic. Bourbon is a very American drink. But the colonies drank more rum than any other spirit. It's in our American.
I get it.
It's in our American DNA.
Yeah.
And so my job, I think, as a fan of rum, is to turn as many people on to rum as possible. And so
you're on a mission.
I'm on a mission.
So we had a guy, a gentleman by the name of Barry Chandler on. I don't know if you saw that episode, but he had a similar mission with Irish whiskey. So that's a big part of his day-to-day is that he's on a mission to educate people about Irish whiskey. And he doesn't talk bad necessarily about bourbon, but he's got a lot of jokes.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of jokes about bourbon and everything.
And about the Scotch.
About Scotch.
The Scotch.
The Scotch. Yeah. But, no, I think it's I think this is good. Now, Nate, your thoughts on the rum?
So, kind of like what Miguel alluded to, I had a bad experience, but it was not in college. It was, I think, 3 years ago when I was on a business trip, and I was in Chicago and went through half a bottle of Zacapa 12 year.
Ooh.
And the only time in my life I've ever had a hangover was after that. This is the best rum I've ever had. The big flavor that I get from the get-go is like a black cherry. That's the prominent flavor that I'm getting.
Black cherry.
Black cherry.
Okay.
And,
proper cherry, a proper cocktail cherry.
Yeah, exactly.
Not the Maraschino.
We're going back to the cocktail thing.
Yeah, not Maraschino. So when you guys were talking about old fashioned and stuff like that, like that Manhattan, isn't that the one that has a cherry in it, or is it old?
It does.
Yeah.
I've had some old fashions that have a cherry in there as well.
Yeah. So that's where I get that that black cherry, but you can definitely tell that it's more molasses based than sugarcane because the sweetness is so much heavier, but it's so much smoother than any of the other rums that I've had before.
Well, the smoothness of that molasses too that you're talking about.
Absolutely.
That's the way I think it coats. Again, it's interesting pairing this up with the Juarez. I mean, as far as like the overall palate just being blown away, I mean, there's a lot of lingering between the cigar, between the rum. There's a lot of just coating of your palate, and it's.
I think
it's a good pairing, by the way.
Thank you. I find a lot of guys who were very resistant to rum really get into rum after they've taken a trip to the Caribbean or taken a trip to a cigar factory, either be it by Drew Estate or whoever, and it opens their mind to rum. And then I've had, I'm telling you, dozens of people say, my wife would never have a bourbon with me, but now that I have rum in the house, she'll have a pour of Zacapa, and I'll have Zacapa because it's one of those, I think, drinks that can really is very broad, and so I've seen a lot of people be turned on by that, and I think that when you're out there drinking your whatever spirit you choose to drink with your cigar, there's so many out there, and I think what your show does is try to share with people other brands of bourbons or whiskeys or now rums that people can go out there and experience with their cigar, and it just opens a whole new world to them.
Absolutely.
And I think that's ultimately why you do these kind of shows. You want to share with people your experiences, and then for them to carry this, listening to this back home, and then to have the same experience.
Give you something to try. You know what I mean? These are on. So a lot of times you see. YouTube's a big thing now, but a lot of the stuff, originally I feel like were the review sites, the blogs, and
big time
that nature. And you search that stuff out. What's nice about it is if you find something that's a good, review site or whatever, or a YouTube channel or a podcast that has a variety, and you have different people like we do on, where you get something where you hear people talk about it, and you might. It's almost like an advertisement for some of these rums, for some of these cigars, or the whiskeys, or whatever it is that you're actually able to hear people talk about it, and then hopefully the viewers, the listeners, you guys take what we're saying with a grain of salt or whatever, especially later in the podcast after we've had a few of them. But I think that there's something there as far as a little bit of an honest review. Bob Keller says, what rum are you drinking? It's going to be the Diplomatico Reserva Exclusiva. Yep. And we've got a couple other questions before we go to the break, unless, Nate, you have anything else.
Well, I thought it was funny when Miguel talked about guys that like bourbon. Their wives may not be much of a bourbon, but they'll enjoy a good rum. My wife, who Miguel you know very well, she was so excited. There's a tiki bar not too far from where we live on the west side, and she was so excited to go there one night that one of her cousins that lives in Cincinnati actually drove all the way up here to Columbus just to go to the tiki bar together.
Gorgeous coast of Columbus, the tiki bar.
Up in Dublin. Yeah,
Dublin,
it's called, or maybe it's in Powell. It's called Hooly Hooly.
Great sunsets on the water.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, at least for me, going to a tiki bar is a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Some of the cocktails they make are just beautiful. They taste great.
Yeah.
There's one in Chicago called 3 Dots and a Dash, and just about every drink, there's only one whiskey drink in the entire bar. Everything else is pretty much rum, and most of the drinks are shareable. Like, they're
shareable.
As in they come in these giant bowls.
Oh, the fishbowl thing?
Yeah, and so they're for anywhere from like 2 to 10 people.
You got to trust the people you're sharing a fishbowl if there's a lot of straws there.
Yes, you do.
I would definitely do a fishbowl with you two.
Okay.
That's, I think, the nicest thing I've heard in a while.
I would not do that with my coworkers, who is normally who I'm with when I go to a trip to Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't watch the show.
No, hopefully they do. I mean, now they know. Now you got. I mean, now you know
that
you're
it's out.
That's out.
They know. I mean,
It's
they
less
know.
awkward when you reject. You're like, no, I don't need a bendy straw, thanks.
And they go, oh, no, I saw that show. You're not going to share this with me.
And
Nate, do you want so? I didn't think you wanted it.
And there's so many flowers and straws and garnishes hanging off the bowl and everything. It gets a little out of hand.
Oh, it's a tiki bar. What do you want?
That's right.
Go ahead and save that, will you? All right, so while we're saving, I do want to answer a few things here. We had, Chrissy actually corrected us with the black cherry. Luxardo. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's the cherries. Is it Luxardo? Luxardo. That's typically what you use in the high-end cocktails, right?
Yeah.
Like a small jar is like $30 or something like that. It's very expensive.
Those are the best cherries.
Good. They are amazing. Ray Cheshire says, has Miguel tried the Lamb's Navy rum?
I have not, but I'm guessing that's an English rum by the word that they're using, the word navy.
Yeah.
Traditionally, that word is used with the UK. I have not tried that rum, but I will absolutely search it out.
How about Mount Gay?
Yes, I know Mount Gay very well. They claim to be the oldest continuous rum producer in the world. Mount Gay definitely has a wide range from their regular Eclipse line all the way up to some really well-aged añejos that they do. Their higher-end stuff is really good. Again, it's an English-speaking country that produces a very more potent rum. I don't drink it as often as I do the Spanish-speaking island rum, but I know Mount Gay very well.
Okay. And do you think Cuba produces a better rum as they claim? Now, you said the top 5, and this is your top 4 or 5. You said Zacapa is your number 1.
Yep. I think that there's a big gap in Cuban rum. I think their super high-end stuff like Maximo is absolutely amazing. Mm-hmm. And then I think just their standard Havana Club stuff is very basic. But, again, it's a Spanish-speaking island. Havana Club is basically the old original Bacardi blends before they fled. And so there are plenty of Havana. I drink plenty of Havana rum. I think they produce a very good rum.
Yeah.
I think their rum is better than their cigars. They still produce a good rum, but I don't think
I always say that. If the embargo ever gets lifted, I'm actually more excited
about the rum
than
I am
now,
the cigars.
I do like a lot of the Cuban cigars, and as we've talked about on this show, is that some of my favorite are definitely not the ones you find in the shops. You know, it's going to be
the farm rolls.
You find the farm rolls or even the custom rolls in the shops, but you're not going to see those in the States ever.
Yep.
I mean, you're just not. So,
yep.
But I say the same thing. Travis says, can you guys do a tasting of High West Campfire? Nate, you're better at this than I am. We've done High West.
Yes.
It was not Campfire. It was.
I think we
did. Was it Prairie something?
There's 4 of them, and I know we've done
had
one
when
it wasn't,
AJ was on.
Was it the High Rye?
I think it might have been a High Rye. But, yeah, so we'll look at doing that. So High West Campfire, I've had it before, and it's extremely, like the name says, it's very smoky. Have you guys had the Campfire, Dustin or Nate or anyone else?
I don't believe we've done the campfire.
No, but have you had it? I don't know.
I've had it before. Yes.
Very smoky. As the name.
So yeah,
kind of like this garage right now.
Is it peaty?
Nice.
Is that the word?
So it's a blend
of peaty. No, I mean
it's a blend of a Scotch and a bourbon.
Yeah.
But the Scotch that they use has a very smoky note to it. So that's where the campfire name comes from.
Yeah. So we'll try to get that on the rotation. High West makes some good stuff. I know.
Yeah,
that.
I think High West there's about 6 or so total, and we've done 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've done campfire.
Right.
I could be wrong.
Okay. You guys want to get back in? You want to air it out? Or are you guys all right?
I'm fine.
You're good. I'm actually warm.
Yeah. I'm really hot right now.
Yeah, you are. Go ahead and start it back up.
So those muscles you have.
Hey, well,
got that medium size shirt on. I see.
This is an extra large, but I think it's from Express, so
yeah,
it's
European
unisex.
Cut, unisex.
Yeah, which I need it in the chest there. It's
yeah.
Let the girls breathe a bit.
You sound that like you need a training bra, Steve.
It's called a bro or
right.
manzier. Miguel. So we were kicking around the topics this week between the three of us, and Miguel, you kind of had. So it's a nice topic for those of you. And actually, before I say that, for those that kind of are tuning in more recently now, I do want to bring up our sponsors once more. So we do have the Crowned Heads is in a sense sponsoring this episode, which we appreciate. We're smoking the Juarez from them. And then you got the Las Calaveras 2019 blend that Miguel's smoking. I think I'm going to smoke that next. Tinder Box at Easton typically provides this. That's how this all kind of happens as far as the connection in the industry, really, is where it all blossomed. Everyone in the garage typically is going to be based out of the Columbus connection of Tinder Box at Easton, so check them out as well. We're going to have a special on the Juarez as long as we have them in stock this time when they come back in next week until next Wednesday. It's going to be 15% off. If you come in the Tinder Box, you get 15% off the Juarez. Hopefully that's okay by Crowned Heads.
Perfect.
Can't remember if it's a contract cigar or not. But
nope.
Anyways, 15% off for the Juarez, any sizes that we have. If you're out of town and not able to make it in and you want to order them, 5 is the minimum, and we will ship them to you, plus shipping charges, but 15% off those as well. So that'll be a nice deal for you. We have BS Cigar Company, which I've got some silvers. We've had some updates on the golds. They should be in after the first of the year. Excited for that. And then also, obviously, Altadis, all the banners you see, the big one behind us, they're going to be typically providing the second cigar. I had some Romeo San Andres with me.
Great cigar.
That we might have, I don't know, maybe after the podcast. Yeah, absolutely. We've got them available here.
We love Altadis. We have a great relationship with them at Crowned Heads. We make a Monte Cristo for them. It's called Ciudad de Musica.
Very good cigar.
So if you're in a store out there and they carry the Altadis brand, ask for the Ciudad de Musica. It is a Altadis Crowned Heads collaboration. We're very proud of that cigar,
as you should be.
And we love the people at Altadis, the Casa de Monte Cristo team over there. They're big supporters of ours. So good people.
Yeah. And so the Romeo San Andres that we had, just so you guys know, it's blended and manufactured by AJ Fernandez, as he has his hands in a lot of stuff. I maybe see a Crowned Heads coming out at some point in the future years. I'm not saying I know anything that no one else does, but I wouldn't be surprised just because he has a very good collaborating effort with a lot of different companies.
Yeah, so. AJ is a great cigar maker, but more so also he's a great tobacco grower. And no, we've never teamed up with AJ, and as far as I know, there's no plans right now, but I smoke a lot of AJ stuff. I think he's a wonderful guy, and he's definitely done some incredible blends for Altadis. Really incredible blends.
I mean, I think he's really bringing Altadis not back to the forefront, but I think Altadis is utilizing that connection as far as, I got to be honest, like competing with some of the companies like yourself.
Great. Absolutely.
I mean, that's the way to stay relevant.
Yeah.
You guys are boutique / getting beyond boutique.
Yeah.
I mean, that term is overused, but I would say that's absolutely part of the strategy there.
Look, I think any of the big companies, you can name several of them, and I think they do like to make a connection to more of the boutique because of the industry. Just like the beer industry, we see that the microbrewers have really created a loud noise. You tend to, in the cigar industry, I tend to think more trends, more uniqueness, more interesting things are coming from the smaller guys, and I think the big companies see that and want to be a part of that. And Altadis, they don't need us, but they wanted to team up and work together. They have an amazing stock of tobacco.
Absolutely.
And for us to be able to play with that and create Ciudad de Musica was a dream come true for us. So sometimes it goes both ways,
Absolutely. So thank you to the sponsors. Going into this, so Miguel shot out the idea of being positive in a negative world, which I love. And the topic that we chose was light up and lighten up. And I think that's definitely part of that is being positive in a negative world. And I also want to throw on the table and out to all the viewers out there that are going to be kind of participating in the conversation here is also about the being offended thing. You know what I mean? The lighten up. I think that's another topic, subtopic that you can introduce to the conversation. Absolutely. Because that's the big thing, especially right now in the world that we have in America, especially is everyone's offended.
Everything you do is you offend everybody. And I think there's a healthiness on being kind to people, respecting other people's views, and being sensitive to other people's views or feelings. I think there's a place for that. I do think you can go a little bit overboard, and I think we live in a world now where either they like you or they hate you. I see a lot of it on social media, and I think a lot of us are guilty of maybe partaking in negativity and putting a lot of negative stuff out there, and I'm guilty of it myself over the years, and it just seems like maybe the political world that we live in, but it just seems like social media has become a dumping ground for trying to offend people, trying to...
You don't have to try that hard, though.
Yeah. And, that's the other side of it. Now there's people that are overly sensitive. And, good Lord, can we get our senses back together? You know what I mean? Like, let's be good to people and just try to be very positive. I think that for myself, on the personal side of it, I've really, over the last couple of months, have really said, I'm going to really try to use social media to be more of a positive influence, try to put more positivity out there, try not to argue about things as much, and just try to be the opposite of what's happening out there in the world.
So you put some positivity out there.
Yeah, try to put some positivity out there, or don't be offended by everything, and just let people have their views. You don't need to argue with everybody, and just be a little bit more... we live in a world where life is tough.
Yeah.
Life is tough. Working, family, and things that happen, and gosh, we spend so much time on social media today that I think people that are overly sensitive need to back off a bit, and I think people that try to try to get on people's last nerves. Those people, what do they call them on social media? They call them
trolls.
Trolls. I think. Yeah. All you got to do is look at the comments on any news story out there, and it's so sad. The way we talk about each other, the way we do these things, try to offend each other or try to hurt each other, and as I said, we're all guilty of it. I myself, and maybe in a world we live in today, maybe we just try to be more positive, try to be a blessing to people. And not try to, offend so many people. Just be a good person,
Here's what I'm going to say about that real quick here is it's interesting when we're talking about the lighten up thing. Light up, lighten up. Obviously a lot of times we here in the garage and in the cigar culture, that's a lot of a reflection point, whether you're around other people or you're by yourself, is that it's actually time to sit down and either reflect or do something else, but it's something that you got to take some time, which is a big part of it. Now, I know there's a lot of people, myself included, that times I'll light up a cigar and I'm in my garage by myself, and what do? I pull out my Facebook or Instagram and I'm scrolling through and everything. But the being offended part of it, it's interesting because even being offended has a negative connotation these days. You're already alluding to, Miguel, that, I'm offended, therefore I got to retaliate and I got to throw some negativity at you, or I got to straighten you out. That's not necessarily what being offended is meaning. That's actually it's a reaction.
Yeah,
it's a reaction to yourself. You know what I mean, or internal reaction. The external part is what everyone talks about because of the memes, the firing back, and talking people, trying to cut them down or argue with them. That's not what being offended is, in my opinion. I think being offended is actually a internal reaction. It's not an external reaction that I'm offended, now listen to me, and you know what, fuck you.
Yeah.
I think that's a difference that we don't talk about enough.
I agree, 100%.
But as far as the positivity in a negative world, Nate, I mean, how do you see all this getting, misconstrued or accurately portrayed in the social media or anything else? No, Nate. Miguel wants. I like it.
No,
Miguel.
Miguel was all for that. No, I kind of like what Ray Cheshire said. Social media has become a bully's playground, and it used to be social media was okay. It's a way for us to get our thoughts out there, to say something we agree with, to share something we agree with. Like I don't post a whole lot of stuff anymore on social media. Definitely not on Facebook. I don't post a whole lot. Instagram, it's pretty much just all cigar pics at this point.
True.
But I mean, yeah, I'll go through and I'll like stuff, but I typically don't post a whole lot unless it's something related to cigars or something I'm doing. There's not a whole lot of personal stuff that I want to put out there on social media. And I think that's part of it is so many people want their personal beliefs thrust upon everybody. They want everybody to know how they feel, what their opinion is, where they align, whatever the issue is. They want everyone to know how they feel, and damn you if you don't agree with them. And I think that's when you start having some of the negativity come back and forth. Is one person posts something that they feel, and then someone else goes, "Yeah, you know what? I don't agree with that." It's like, "Oh, really?" And then it just starts going back and forth. Everyone wants to defend their position, and it becomes very negative, very toxic, very quickly.
Well, I think there's people that are just fucking miserable.
Yeah,
they're absolutely miserable. This is talk about being offended. Being positive in a negative world. You have to change. It's in your own world. You're having a bad day, bad week. I've had a couple things this week alone that, like, a few hours ago, I'm just like, the last thing I really want to do is go do the podcast because it's, it's little shit. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah.
Bobby Hirschman says he's always happy. I mean, tell me what you're prescribed, and I'll talk to my doctor about that. But, it's like one of those things where...
Oh, I know what, Bobby. Cigars and a lot of good alcohol.
That's good. Yeah, well, I'm already prescribed that.
There you go.
But, self-medicating, right?
Self-medicating. But I think it's like Nate, you know this, Miguel, you know a little bit because you were here this week. But I got a leak in the back of my house. I bought the house less than a year ago. Now all of a sudden I got a leak in the back of the house. Okay, so we found that. That's fun. And had a friend of mine that's a contractor, Greg, who was on earlier, who was listening earlier. And he comes out and he looked at it today, and he peels back the shingles in the back corner of the house, and he's like, "This roof wasn't put on right." He's like, it's missing this, and then it's also structurally just like they should have caught this in the inspection. Okay. Got to deal with that.
Not a good day.
Not a good day. Then I got, a toilet that is not sitting right. So now I got a little bit of water coming out on the new tile floor that I had put in before I moved in. Oh. He's been out twice. He's trying to figure out why it's doing that. He's done the wax ring. He's doubled up on that. He's got it. It's anchored down. Everything should be good. He's coming back out tomorrow. Just other little things that it's, Liz and I are just like any other relationship, you go through ups and downs, and it's nothing major, but it's just been a stressful week. Like, we haven't been seeing eye to eye. And then you throw this in, and then on top of all this stuff, including the roof stuff, Greg tells me that he's like, I tell you what and he did it today. He's like, I'm going to get this thing put a Band-Aid on it, but you're going to need a new roof.
Oh,
within 1 year owning the house, I'm learning that. I knew it was an older roof.
What is that? 30,000?
It's not anywhere close to that. No. I mean, you're talking. I would say for a house like this,
this is basically a mansion that you. Oh, I'm not supposed to say that. I'm sorry. Your very humble house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a mansion. That's why we're doing
Let's just say I got lost earlier trying to find a bathroom.
It's a mansion. That's why we're doing the podcast.
Go downstairs, take a left. That's actually probably an internal issue for you. But it's probably anywhere between, but I don't know, like $2,000 to $5,000 maybe ish dollars. You know what I mean? So, okay, it's still $5,000.
Yes.
And I just bought the house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So and it passed inspection. I thought I had another 5 to 10 years on the roof, so it's something you budget for. This is something that, again, it's how do you react to it? Mm-hmm. And I think that those little examples for me, and I know Miguel, I think we talked about it a bit the last time you were on, but you always have your life story that it's like, if there's anyone that wants to be negative about how life treats you, my week doesn't necessarily hold a candle to what you and other people have gone through and other things. I went through divorce, I went through, being fired, like we talk about that on the podcast, but it's how do you react to it? You do have to lighten up a bit, because you either throw in the towel or you get beat up and all that, and you just figure out, I'm going to sit in a dark room and I'm going to get on social media and fuck everyone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm going to cut this person down, because it doesn't make you feel any better, but it's your way of like bringing everyone to your level.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I think is a real valid point in what we're talking about, and what you had brought up as part of the subject, Miguel, is that, being positive in a negative world. Why is it so fucking negative?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And how do you react to that?
It's really strange. I think that whenever people are having a bad day, 20 years ago, they had a bad day. And you go about your day, and maybe you're not so nice to your wife, your kids, or whatever. You go to sleep, you wake up, you have a new day. Now you can go on and be a keyboard warrior, and someone on Facebook that you went to high school with that you haven't seen in 30 years, says something that they like, and you want to go and you want to shit on them. You know what I mean? And now everyone's got to have a bad day because you're having a bad day. And I just think, gosh.
Do you think that's habitual?
Yes.
Do you think this is something that innate to you too? I mean, do you think this is something that people get in a pattern, in a rut, in a?
Yeah, I think people feed off
wake
it.
up and do it.
Yeah, I think people feed off it. I think you definitely have guys that aren't necessarily trolls, but their lives they are trolls. They're trolls at work. They're trolls while driving, cutting people off, not using their turn signal. They're trolls on social media.
Yeah,
everybody has to be miserable.
Everyone else's fault.
Sometimes you meet a guy and they're miserable as hell, and you think to yourself, good Lord, I hope you're not married. You know what I mean? And you just
which could be something they complain about too.
Yeah. And I've always find it, look, I'm guilty as anyone else has, but I will tell you what I've done recently. And this is one of the reasons I want to bring this topic up. I'm sure that there's people over the last 15 years that I've been on social media that maybe I've hurt their feelings, maybe I've
You are outspoken, or you used to be more outspoken.
More outspoken.
He's calmed down a lot.
And for me, I don't know, religious aspect, I don't know how you guys get, but
I used to be religious.
Not that long ago, a preacher that I very much admire and listen to was talking about how people will know you're a Christian by the way you act.
Yeah.
And sometimes, that's a compliment to a Christian when you meet someone, maybe you're very kind, maybe very nice, and they'll say to you, wow, you must be a Christian because the way you're acting. That to me is a compliment, right?
As it should be.
And sometimes on social media, I haven't acted that way. So I've actually gone back and found people that maybe I felt like I was very negative to, and have sent them a message apologizing if I ever hurt their feelings, if I ever said something that maybe hurt them. I've now gone back. It's been very
liberating?
Very liberating. Very liberating in the fact of saying, you know what, I don't want to be – I am making a choice to make sure that for me it's being a Christian. For other people it could just being a good person. It could just be put out good vibes. I am going to be that person, and I'm not going to be the negative person. I don't want to bring any more negativity to anyone's day that maybe they're already having. So for me, I felt very convicted when I heard this particular sermon that I needed to go back and apologize. Some of the people get back and fright, it was no big deal. I didn't think about it. Other people go, hey, I really appreciate it. It made me feel really good. Other people don't respond. But it has been very liberating to me to get that weight off my chest. And I have to tell you, I didn't realize how heavy it was weighing on me.
You felt guilt.
I felt guilt.
Yeah.
And I didn't know I felt until I heard that particular sermon. And I said to myself, either this is the Lord talking to me, or this is the world or the universe, however you want to spin it. Yeah. Whatever it is for you, I want to be a positive influence, not a negative influence. And I want to do my part. And it's not about people being overly sensitive. Sometimes you just may say or do something, and what I have found is that word sorry, I apologize, can be extremely powerful in somebody's life. And so for me, 2020, starting now, has really been about, I want to be more positive. I'm still going to be myself. I'm still going to be me. But I'm going to try to be as positive as I possibly can through social media and really try to be a positive in someone's day than a negative in somebody's day.
First of all, that was extremely powerful. So thank you. I mean, it really was. And I almost feel guilty for thinking what I'm thinking. But, I think that, Miguel, you and some other people need to come up with a 12-step program for being an asshole. Like that's what I was hearing there. You know what I mean? Like that's one of the 12 steps. You know what I mean? Like what is it? Making amends.
Making amends. Yeah.
I think there needs to be a step-by-step program when you actually realize that you're miserable and that the reason that is because you're fucking mean to everyone.
Yep.
And you're not like the lovable asshole. You're just an absolute asshole.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to say that after you talked about, the sermon and everything else, but I think it's very applicable to a lot of people out there that there needs to be a 12-step program on how to recover from being miserable, being a miserable asshole.
Yeah, and everyone, they call it, come to Jesus moment, right?
There you go.
Everyone's going to have their own. I've met several men through church, through different groups that. Who were divorced.
Yeah.
And he'll say things like, I blame my wife for our divorce. Now I can actually look back and say, wow, that was my fault. I was not a good person.
Yeah.
I was the bad seed in the relationship. And so that to me is very powerful to hear a man say that.
That's the hand in the face that we talked about.
Yeah.
When you're in the situation.
Yeah.
You're almost blinded by it. You can't really focus on it. And then as time goes on, as you move the hand away from the face, we talk about it on the podcast a lot, that you get to see things a bit more clearer.
A bit more clearer. And so for me, when I walk through my front door, I have my wife and my 2 kids.
Yeah.
And my wife and I will be celebrating 17 years this December.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Happy anniversary to both of you.
I feel very blessed as soon as I cross that threshold of the front door. And I want to make sure that person that I am there is the same person that I am in person, not with my family. I want to make sure that I'm that same person on social media. And that is something that I am spearheading for myself in 2020. And I just want people to think about it. There's many a times where, where maybe you type something out on Facebook and you hit, delete. Are you being a blessing or are you being a burden? And I just think in a world that we live in a negative world, I mean, you can turn on any of the news sources that you may like, Fox, MSNBC, CNN, local, doesn't matter. There's so much negative in the world that, gosh, there's got to be something better. And for me,
that probably draws better ratings.
Yeah, and I think having a cigar, having a great cocktail, I see it all the time among cigar smokers. Us getting together, having a great time, talking about the cigars we're smoking, maybe about the cocktail we're drinking. We're talking about our families. We're talking about life. And usually the attitude in a cigar shop is usually pretty good. Guys are laughing, having a good time. I've been in the Tinder Box, and I'm cracking jokes. We're having a good time.
Absolutely.
And you walk out of there and you feel pretty darn good, and it's like, man, we need that more. We need that more. So, lighten up, whatever. It's about when you're really kicking back, enjoying a cigar, and you're having a great cocktail, and you're having a great time, and you're reflecting on your day, can you be that way all day long? Can you be a blessing instead of a burden on someone's life?
Well, I want to go to Dustin here real quick, but one of the things that I got from this, and Dustin, I apologize before going to you, is that what a lot of people may not realize, I know I seem to forget sometimes, but it is that everything you just said, and I don't know if everyone picked up on it or not, but it's the fact that it takes effort.
Real effort.
Yeah, so you've realized it, and you're going into 2020, and you're starting now. And it's something that you're going to put some effort in on a daily basis. You're talking about coming in. You're walking over the threshold of the house. When you walk out of the house, and you go into cigar shops at your job, you go into the coffee shop, you see someone on the street, there is an actual effort put forth.
Yep.
It can be tiring.
Yep.
Which again, sometimes it's easier to be miserable and be the asshole, be the person that's offended by everything and then reacts in an aggressive manner. I mean, sometimes that's easier.
Of course. Well, the old adage is it takes more muscles in your face to frown than it does to smile, and it does take a lot more work to be good than it does to be bad.
Yeah, it's actually the opposite. Dustin, what do you have?
Well, I know like day in, day out, especially at work, I have to put on a face in a sense.
Yeah.
But I try to put myself in. Probably is necessary some days. But no, I try to put myself in other people's shoes because you don't know what they're going through. And, the type of store that I work at, there seems to be a lot of angry people.
Yeah.
Especially at certain times of the month. Usually at the beginning.
Okay. Yep.
But, you just have to take your step back and put yourself in their shoes and just kill them with kindness.
Yeah.
And it's not easy by any means, especially when they're, throwing everything they can at you and you're calling you every name under the sun. But, at the end of the day, I don't necessarily do it just because of work. I do it for my own personal mindset too.
Absolutely.
Because when I leave work, I want to make sure that I left a positive impact. And I try to do that outside of work as well. Because you don't know what anyone else is going through. I think in today's world, so many people, they take things so personal, even when it doesn't pertain to them whatsoever.
Yep.
Because everyone has to have their nose in everyone else's business. Even if they'll stand there and tell you blindly, no, I don't.
Yeah.
They really do.
Yeah, and if you're like me, I absolutely hate being in a bad mood, being in a funk. I absolutely do. And I don't know if anyone here, and it's funny that Jack Tarano says Miguel makes it look effortless to be one cool cat. Love you, brother. And that's
thank you, Jack.
Just because you make it look easy, that's like anything else in life. Just because you make it look easy that you're like positive dude, and you're trying to be that person for everyone, and you're trying.
Yeah,
it takes effort.
It does take effort.
But when I'm in a funk, and you're in that negative world, and you need to light up a cigar. Sometimes even a cigar is not going to help me, or drinking a rum or a bourbon, which I might want another glass of that rum.
I think
here.
you should.
I appreciate that. But it's something that I feel like I know I have my ways. Thank you very much to get out of it. But goddamn, I know that sometimes, boom, there's the bottle for Nate.
Holy shit, that's a healthy pour.
Yourself? Miguel, I know you've kind of given some of your efforts going forward. Nate, I mean, do you find yourself in a funk at times? Because I know I do, and it's something that it's lasted longer than I want, and even though I realize it, and it could be over nothing, or it could be something that actually Liz and I were talking. She was I'm sorry if she's still listening, but she was in a funk, and I've been in a funk before, and she's not anymore.
Two
right
funks
now.
Don't make it right.
Two funks don't make it right. But it's something that I know that a cigar or whiskey or even a conversation, I know the steps of what I need to do, I feel like sometimes, and it is like I'm in quicksand, or it's like, like the cement is hardening at my feet, and I'm trying to take another step towards the light, you know what I mean? But it's something that I can't get to. And sometimes it's a good night's sleep. I don't know. I mean, Nate, what do you do when you're in this situation? Because even people that are in a good mood, it's going to happen again. It's like, how do you lighten up? How do you stay positive?
Well, and what you're talking about, for me personally, part of getting out of a funk is, honestly, when I'm hanging out or working at the Tinder Box. Because I enjoy that so much, the people I get to hang out with, the conversations I get to have.
So a social setting?
Yes. Being around people, and I don't necessarily have to agree with everything that they say, but it's that interaction, it's the joy that comes with being around cigars and selling cigars. Like I authentically enjoy that. So that's a lot of fun for me. So
and you like being at cigar shops without selling too.
Yes, I do.
So it's that culture.
Yeah,
finding your happy place.
Yeah,
as AJ would say.
Miguel was the first cigar rep I ever met 15 years ago.
15 years ago, yeah.
And, I used to go around anytime he was in town, going to any of the events that he was at, and eventually that led to me working at a cigar shop and then being a sales rep and, back working in cigar shops now and, been in the business for 7.5 years and or 6.5 years.
You caught the bug.
And yeah, it's
in a good
just,
way.
Yeah,
in a good way.
It's fun. It's enjoyable. That helps me reset. But personally, to me, part of lightening up is also finding what is negative and like cutting that loose.
Yeah, letting it go. Letting it go.
Not just partially with yourself, but also getting rid of what puts you in a funk.
Yeah.
What is it that
sometimes holding on to something. Yeah.
Yeah. So
cutting it loose.
So I mean, I have
talking about people, or are we talking about other things?
Well,
it could be anything.
It can be anything.
Yeah. Okay. Experience.
My personal experience is I have a good friend that I went to school with ever since middle school, and they do not view things the same way I do, which is absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But the issue that I had a few years ago was that person was putting their negative funk and their negative energy all over social media, and I'm seeing it every single day, and it was just making me angry. I never sat there and gotten into an argument or a debate with that person on things because I knew I wasn't going to change their mind, so I wasn't even going to try and change their mind.
Yep.
But it was having a negative impact on me and my mindset. So, if I was, out where that person lives, I still might hit them up and, have a drink, have dinner with them or something. But I don't interact with them. I don't see anything that they post, not because they view things differently than me. I'm not cutting out people because I'm offended.
Yeah, they're trying to almost force their belief on you, or
no, it's not that.
They're looking for an argument. Maybe.
It's not necessarily that. I came to the realization that they were having too much of an impact on my mental state and my well-being. And I'm like, no, I'm not letting you control my emotions.
That is negativity by osmosis.
Yeah. It sucks.
Yes.
And I mean, the easier you are to offend, the easier you are to control.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I can offend you, I can control your emotions. I don't like having other people have that.
Buttons is what you're talking about there.
I don't like other people having that power over me. I don't. So when I see that happening, I'm gonna cut that away. I don't want that.
As long as I've known you.
But that doesn't mean. Go ahead.
You've always been a very positive person to me.
Yeah.
I've known you for 15 years now, and I've always known you to be a good man, a man of God who's you're very loyal to your wife. You're a good human being, and every time I've hung around with you, I've always walked away like it's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
And so
not so much with me though.
No, you're a little different. No, well, something I don't want to stop your train of thought, but I want to say that you, to me, have always given off a very positive vibe, and that's something I've always admired in you, and I know you're a man of God, and I think those are things that guys like me can take away. You're talking about osmosis, walk away and go, man, it's always nice seeing Nate. He's always in a good mood. He's always fun. He always talks cigars. Opposed to, man, Nate is God, I can't stand seeing that guy. He always brings me down. And you've always been that positive guy.
It's funny you say that because, there are a lot of times where I might, in my mind, be in a funk, be in a rut, be angry on the inside, but I do my best to not let that show on the outside.
And that is you caring for other people.
It is because
there's an effort there again. Going back to
effort,
what Miguel was talking about.
you're exactly right.
And it's not like I'm eating it or burying it. It's just other people don't need to know about what I've been going through because it's not something that they can fix.
Yeah.
The best definition I ever heard of gossip is sharing detrimental information to someone who's not a part of the problem or part of the solution.
Oh wow, that's good.
That's a very good.
That is
really
good.
So if you're not part of the problem, but you're also not part of the solution, why should I share that negativity with you and possibly bring you down? And you can have differing viewpoints on whatever it is. It doesn't mean you can't be friends with that person.
I think we're on total different ends of the world when our beliefs.
There are a lot of things that you and I disagree on, but yet 9 years ago you were a groomsman in my wedding.
Absolutely.
So how do you guys make that work? You're saying a lot of positive stuff. There's a lot of positive feedback here, but
just seeing him at the cigar shops or when he was a rep or when anytime, our conversations tend to lead more to things that we have in common.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
You find the common ground. Don't look for the divisive and negative ground.
I remember when you got married. You know what I mean? It was
you were there.
It was a great experience to be there and to witness something like that and to be a part of that. And I look forward to being part of your wedding when it happens.
And you were pretty aggressive about that when you met Liz earlier before the podcast, and I appreciate it, and I also don't like it.
Well, I'm open for hire if you need a groomsman. I could be the affirmative action of your.
What is that? I mean, come on.
So here's the thing I want to put out about you. Is that when you go to the gym, what are the kind of things that you post sometimes? Yeah, I want you to share it with people because I am friends with you on social media.
We've talked about that.
And when I see it, it makes me smile.
I like how you define that as, like, and it's very definitive that we're friends on social media.
We are.
Period.
Yeah, we're friends. It's
on
official.
Social media.
It's official. In person and on social media.
In person, we're
But you're one of those guys that when I see you post, it's always good stuff. It's what do you post when you go to the gym?
All right, so we haven't talked about this in a while, but for some of the newer viewers, and I'm that annoying person on Facebook that I pretty much, and I've actually
you check in.
I check in. I've gotten a little lazy on the checking in, not the gym part. It's funny, and no one's called me out on it, but I feel like if I stopped checking in, people would call me out.
Yep.
But yeah, it's my mantra, and it's on actually the BS brands. It's on the boxes we used to do, and it's focus. And that was actually something that we've talked about putting effort in. And when I was going through ups and downs, when I came out of the divorce, followed up by getting fired for the first time. Well, I got fired when I was like 15, but
actual job fired.
Out of nowhere, completely blindsided. It is something that when I was going through all that stuff, I started doing that almost as a something that held myself accountable with others through social media. So I was using social media. It wasn't me showing off. It wasn't me like trying to prove myself or anything like that. It was something I started, and then I'm getting Facebook memories at this point from I think as far back as like 6 years ago with focus check-ins at my old gym.
Yeah.
And it's funny, there were times where even when I was positive, or if I tried to put like a inspirational quote, I was listening to a track or something like that on SoundCloud or something like that, and something struck me when I was in a negative place, and I still went to the gym and tried to like just focus, and it was a kind of a meditation for me in a sense, and also a self preservation, improvement. And I started actually getting feedback. Not all the time. I don't get a lot of likes, you know what I mean? I don't get a lot of comments all the time unless I put something funnier on there or something like that. But then I get people like Miguel that come in, and this has been several years back, that you were going through your own fitness or kind of remodeling yourself.
Yeah, yep. I was going to the gym at 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And when I would see your posts, focus, I'm going to the gym, I literally, and I remember something you had told me before. You're like, dude, some guys say they don't have time to go to the gym, but they'll tell you everything that happened on reality TV that night.
I said that last week on the podcast.
Did you really?
Yeah, I used
and
that.
So,
yeah.
and I just, and when you would put that inspired me. There were times where I'd go, you know what? Steve's a busy guy. If he can do it, I can do it. And it wasn't about, hitting like on your thing all the time. It was about like, man, that's really cool. And again, that's that whole being in inspiration and not being, someone to bring you down. If you're like, I hate the gym.
You can use social media for a positive.
Absolutely. And so for me, when I would see that, as little as that effort as it took for you to do that, for a guy like me at that time, that meant a lot.
I appreciate that.
And that was incredible.
Thank you.
And you talked about when you were fired, you went through divorce. Look, I think Chippendales was wrong for firing you. I feel like you were a perfectly fine dancer.
I wasn't the best dancer.
You weren't. You were the Chris Farley, and other people were the Swayze.
Steve does a great worm.
He does a great worm, and I feel like it wasn't right for Chippendales to fire you.
I think it was political, honestly.
Yes, it does. It does.
You know, the owner's son was there as well. And he, you know, that's what happens. It's like Little League all over again.
I agree. The fact that they use the fact that you have no hair against you, that was not right.
I make it look good.
That was not right. Look good. Well, I was wearing my hat when we started,
and then you were inspired.
And I said I was inspired.
I can get
if someone could confuse me with you, my day would be great. You know?
Well, I think you've touched on a key point. Is
interesting where you're going to take that after that comment. It's interesting where you might take that.
No, what I heard there was, you know, Steve's not sitting there, you know, putting out negative. Mm-hmm. Steve, you know, he's not necessarily doing something. He's not necessarily trying to have some inspirational message. He's just posting focus. That's it. That's all his post is. Yep. He's checking out the gym, focus. But it had a positive influence on others. And you're going to have a bigger influence on others when you are trying to be more positive than if you are trying to be negative.
Yep.
Well, and someone said it on here. You know, we're talking about cutting the negative. I'm trying to find it.
Jody?
Jody said, you know, this year's been about cutting out all negative aspects of my life. A lot of changes, but am so much happier now. You have to take control of your own happiness. And it's funny, Jody.
That's great, Jody.
And Jody started listening to this, and then later introduced herself actually at the gym.
No way.
No shit.
Wow.
It was something that she had been listening. She did a nice review on the podcast. You know what I mean? And she was getting into bourbons, and then she's local, so somehow this, you know, got shared to her, or she found it, you know, when she was looking for podcasts.
Yep.
And then it was she I've seen her comment and, you know, join the page and all that stuff. And then one day at the gym, she came up and I had my headphones in, and she kind of like flagged me down, and she's like, "Hey, I just want to introduce myself." And I recognized her from the picture. I was like, "Jody." And so she was like, "Just want to let you know I really enjoy listening to the podcast."
That's fantastic.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is crazy. It's a small world. And, you know, I know it's tough for you in Columbus, Ohio. Everyone knows you.
That's not
You're
true.
a local celebrity. And
like,
I know you're tired of signing autographs. Well, no. like when you're eating dinner with your wife, your girlfriend. I'm sorry, with your girlfriend at a restaurant, and people are coming up trying to meet you.
Not negative.
He, you know, you get tired of people asking you to take pictures and stuff, but
they know I know you.
That's not true at all. You know, you're a big deal.
That's not.
I don't know how to tell you this, but you're a big deal.
Jess actually texted me that Miguel is the Spanish Steve.
There you go. Whoa, I like that. We're taking this on the road. Listen,
I wish I could be the Spanish me.
Wait, listen, we're taking this on the road. Are you kidding me?
That could do something.
I like this. No, in a world of darkness, be a light. Just try to be a light in someone's life, man. You know, just try. I will tell you, I have been in restaurants. I've been in. You know, I live on the road basically, right? I travel as a national sales manager for a cigar company. I'm on a plane every week, and sometimes, I mean, in restaurants every night. Sometimes you're grabbing some fast food, whatever it may be, and sometimes when that person is really, you can tell that they are not having a good time. Yeah, they don't want to be there. And sometimes, sometimes mentally, and I try to do this more now than ever before, is that you try to say, "Hey, thank you, have a great day," or "Thank you so much." Those little things sometimes can have a big effect on somebody. And I guess that's my whole thing with this conversation is just try to be a more positive human being. There are people that are always going to be overly sensitive, but at the end of the day, just be a good person. You know, and I think that with this show in particular, you guys always have topics, and we're talking about cigars. We're talking about either be a bourbon or a rum. The fact is, at the end of the day, we all go out there, we work, we have jobs, we have careers, we have families, and just try to bring a little light to someone's day, man. And it doesn't. It does take effort. I think sometimes that people make it sound easy. It's not always easy, and sometimes I catch myself going, well, back up. You got to change your attitude on this and try to be more of just a good human being to other people. You know what I mean? And you know, for I'll give you an example. In the words of Jack Sparrow, why is the rum always gone?
Yeah, well,
but I was enjoying this rum, but this guy over here finished the bottle.
You poured it.
And I'm not going to be negative.
We have video evidence
positive.
pouring that.
I'm staying positive.
I have another bottle of Cleveland rum.
You're being positive that the rum's gone.
I'm very positive that the rum is gone.
You know, it kind of reminds me, and it's such a simple example. We have a regular at the shop, Tanya, who's been on the podcast, the Valentine's Day episode this year.
That was, I think, our highest viewed.
It was a great episode.
That was, last I looked, it was pushing 4,500 views.
Yeah. But one of the things, if you've, Steve, you've probably noticed this. Miguel, if you were in the shop on a regular basis when Tanya was in there, you would probably notice it as well. But anytime another woman walks in the cigar shop, usually they're in tow with their husband or boyfriend or whatever. But anytime another woman walks in the cigar shop, Tanya will find something to compliment that woman on.
Yeah.
I like your shoes. I like your shirt. I like your purse, whatever it is. And then the two of them start getting a conversation, but immediately, as soon as Tanya says that lady gets a smile on her face, and she feels so important.
Yeah.
It elevates the room.
Yeah, that smallest thing has a huge impact on people.
Tanya, good person.
Yeah. And
I remember when she complimented your purse. You were really...
Wait, who are you talking to? For the people listening on the audio recording, who are you talking to?
I'm talking to Steve Crane.
Okay. I saved up for that.
I'm sorry. But back to seriousness. Sorry.
But no, I mean, and I think it was probably
Merce.
It was probably AJ when he was. It was AJ. AJ was on before.
Go out of your way.
Yeah, AJ had actually said, "Go out of your way to give someone a compliment because it could completely change how that person's day is going. They could be having an absolutely miserable day, and you just giving that one little compliment, whether you're genuine about it or not, you could think that their outfit sucks, but just saying it."
What did I tell you when I first walked in?
Today?
I complimented your beard.
Yeah, you did.
You have a great beard.
Yeah, thank you.
You have a great beard.
I used to have a
Grow
long.
that yourself?
Yeah.
All by himself.
Yeah, Rogaine.
Trying.
But no,
Not
and
trying.
AJ had said, he always tries to compliment people, and that's why when my wife listened to that episode, she's like, AJ must just fart rainbows because he's just so
I was
positive.
if you're going to bring that on the podcast.
He's so positive all the time, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure AJ has his own issues that he deals with, his own demons that he battles.
Everyone does.
Absolutely, but do you let other people experience that negativity? Do you try and force whatever downer you're onto other people? Yeah. No, I mean AJ doesn't. I've never seen AJ in a pissed off mood, and that changes the atmosphere in that room.
I think we're going back to a lot of things we're talking about. It takes effort. I like to bring it back on a lot of these subjects to the fact that you got to start with you.
Yes.
We're talking about, and it's so easy.
Work in progress.
You see the Instagram posts, you see the bumper stickers, whatever it is, the sayings, the memes or whatever it is, the positive ones about, and I'm not taking anything away from that stuff. I'm not taking away from, going out there and complimenting people and all that stuff. But to the people that, that are in that rut that I was talking about earlier, it does start with you. I mean, and that's something that when we were talking about, Miguel, you brought it up as far as the, my focus check-ins and stuff like that. I have been like posting that stuff again through ups and downs.
Right.
So it's the internal effort of there were times where I was in such a rut or such a like dark place that for me what worked was trying to take care of myself, trying to get more sleep, It was, Christian says Steve's focus updates help get me back on track with my fitness and keep me motivated. I mean, and for me it was more than that. It was something that using, everyone dogs social media. Everyone dogs, being positive in a negative world, and it's so quick. Every subject goes to social media. For me, it was something that, again, when I say I was holding myself accountable in public almost, it was something that when I was in the darkest places, there were some, I don't want to call them negative, but almost maybe more motivational stuff, but a lot of it was for me.
Right.
And it was using something where trying to put a positive spin on a negative space I was in at the time. I was actually, I think, looking back, I think I was fishing for people not to like, hey, are you all right? I got a couple of those. No, it was actually, I was fishing for people out there that were in the same mindset I was. that were in my social circle, whether it be a Facebook social circle or not. But it's something that I know there's people out there that were in the same boat. And that was, when you talk about that, Miguel, what you were saying about, the fitness stuff, about how it was inspiring you.
Yeah.
You can use that. When I was going through my ups and downs, there was still an effort there that I was doing something that was mostly selfish and for me. But when I found out there were more people going through it, whether it be their health, whether it be their body image or whatever it is, that's all very, very in tune with the rest of their life, the way that they think, the way their mindset is, their emotional state at that point. Because if I was feeling that, I know other people were as well.
Right.
So that's a way that you can do that, even in a part of that negative world, if you are participating in that part of it, as opposed to going out there and being offended and throwing stones.
Yep.
Try it the other way and do something. When you're doing something good, that's when you go on social media. That's when you talk to people.
Yep.
And you try to do all that stuff. It's not simply, which I think is very important, it's not simply giving the compliment. It's not simply trying to be that ray of sunshine in the room.
Yeah.
You can do it a little bit more passively if you're not that person, if you're not outgoing. Don't force yourself to be something you're not, but you can actually share what you're doing and hope that the way you do it, that people will actually gravitate towards you, and then now you're feeding off of that positivity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're starting with yourself, and then you're projecting. It's not faking it till you make it. That statement is overused.
Yep.
This is literally like, this is what I'm doing.
Right.
This is what I'm trying. And then people might support you. People might be like, hey, you're helping me out. That actually will feed you.
Right.
It's like a domino effect.
Very much.
Yeah. And, we're going into the holidays where we're going to be around family members, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and, people always talk about don't talk politics at the table and things, and then shopping and the traffic
Absolutely.
And all those kind of things. There's going to be a lot of stress this time of the year, and sometimes you just got to kick back, light a cigar, and just realize that we're in a world of busy people, and if you could just be a little bit of a positive person in someone's life, man, it could be changing for some people.
Absolutely.
And I think you very much have been that way. I think on social media, you're always very positive, focused. Every time I see you in the cigar shop, you're always very positive. You obviously have customers coming in. Some guys are coming in to have a cigar because maybe it's their regular routine. Some guys are coming in to celebrate. Some guys are going, man, I had a bad, rough week, man. I just want to come in and have a cigar. I think that bleeds over in so many aspects of your life, your personal life and your work life. It has a lot of effect on other people. Yeah. And then obviously I think you've always been a ray of sunshine, knowing that, your belief system and how you've been, your marriage and how you are to other people. I don't think I've ever met anyone that's ever said anything negative about you. You've always been very positive to people. And so those are things that I strive for, that I want to be more like Steve. I want to be more like Nate. And those are things that you want to put out in this world and hopefully, be a little bit more, I don't know, maybe the day is a little bit better for somebody else.
There's a lot of people that say that about you, and it's interesting when you but even though you know that, like he had Jack Taranio saying that earlier about you, you're still surrounding yourself with impactful people in your life. Mm-hmm. You surround yourself with people you want to be more like.
And everyone's different,
or have
right?
Shared goals.
Sometimes it's a friend, sometimes it's an uncle or whatever. For me, it's Sunday because I moved out of Cincinnati. I live in South Florida now, but I still tune in every Sunday to listen to my pastor on Facebook, to hear his message. And it's so crazy because people, Mondays are always that, it's another Monday. Oh, Monday gets a bad rap, and
I'm not one of those people.
Yeah, neither am I. Like, for me, Sunday charges my batteries. When I hear the word from my preacher, when I hear that, I'm rushing out on Monday. My batteries are recharged. I'm feeling great, and it's really about getting to that next Sunday and really getting that word that feeds for me. Yeah. Everyone, it's something different, right? And so that person I am in person was not the person I was on social media. Always.
Going back to that.
Yeah, and so I want to be the same person I am. There was a person I met in this industry. He's no longer in the industry. He's a great guy. But he used to always joke with me. He goes, man, I always got to be suspicious of people like you. Every time I see you, you're in a good mood. You're always smiling. You're always happy.
You're up to something.
You got
an agenda. I'm not buying it.
After years of knowing him, he goes, man, you are generally a happy person. Yeah. And I thought to myself, I've got to be that person 24/7. It doesn't matter if I'm on Facebook. It doesn't matter if I'm in person. It doesn't matter if I'm on the phone. I need to be the same person. And that is what, for me, is my goal for 2020, is to be the same person I am in person that I am on social media. Because as they say, there's always keyboard warriors out there, or we wouldn't say half the stuff we would in person if we would say on social media. And I want to be that same person. I want to be the same person that you meet either through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or in person. I want to be that same person.
Very tall order.
Yeah, it is. But like you were saying, it takes effort.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's not easy. And sometimes you have to eat crow. Sometimes you have to say, man, I'm sorry. That is not the way I should have responded. That is not the way I should have acted. Or, my wife reminds me a lot, I don't know what it is about. You're on the phone. Maybe I'm trying to book some airline. Maybe I'm trying to get the cable guy to come over. And my wife notices that the only time she sees me lose my cool is those times when I'm on the phone. Yeah. 5 minutes into the conversation, you're frustrated, you're angry. And those are things that I didn't notice myself. And sometimes now I look at it and I go, yeah, I got to be the same person I am to Steve Crane that I am to Joe Schmo on the phone who works for, what cable company or whatever. I want to be that same person.
Behind a person.
Yeah, I want to be the same person, and so that's my goal. I don't want to be offended. I want to respect other people's views. I want them to walk away and say, you know what, I had a crappy day, but I met Miguel at a cigar shop today, and he's a good dude, man. I really like that. Yeah. And that's what I want to be. You know what I mean? And it does take effort.
But why?
Yeah.
But why?
Why?
And while you answer that, Nate, we're out of this rum. You had that other bottle of...
Do we want to try it?
I think we should.
I think we should.
Because, we can't have an empty glass when we close it out. So, so Christian, I want to say, Christian says, and I'm happy to have Christian back on the live feed here. He said he's on a hiatus. I'm not sure what that was about, but he says that's the key. Stick around positive people. If you're around positivity, then you will carry it with you. If you run in a negative circle, it will take over your life. That's been with us since we were kids. I mean, how many times have you heard? She's a good kid.
Yep.
She's just around. She's around a bad group.
Yeah.
It's like she's running with a bad crowd, I think is what they say.
Yep.
And we didn't learn that as a kid.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but why do you want to do that? Why, Miguel, with having you on, I appreciate. A lot of your experience and a lot of your statements tonight have really been impactful, and I love it. But where's the why?
I think it's being your genuine self. I believe that I am being me in person. And sometimes on the phone with the cable guy, I'm not being Miguel.
Which can go both ways. There are people that are nicer
on social media than
and everything else. And when you get around them, it's it's like your introvert, your personality.
Two different people. Yeah. Jekyll and Hyde. And maybe sometimes on social media, I'm not the same guy. But I want to be the same person. I want to be that same person I am day in and day out. And what I've found is trying to connect with other people very much humbles me and where I am. When we have the trade shows, a lot of times, cigar industry trade show, it used to be called RTDA, IPCPR, now it's called the PCA. What I try to do is at night before I go out, meet with clients, go out to a nice restaurant or whatever, I do try to meet people, shake hands, smile. If I see a homeless person, I try to go over and I pray with them. I find that trying to humble myself on a daily basis, that's genuinely who I am as a person. And I want to be that same person if you met me on the phone, if you met me in person, or it's just what I want. I want to be the best Miguel that I could be. And for me, that is my effort for 2020 is I want, if Steve, if I didn't know you in the cigar industry and you worked for a cable company, you called me and I was having a problem, I want to be that same person that you would meet in the cigar store. With
the way you respect my voice, I feel like we would have a good conversation over the phone.
Yeah, your voice is very deep.
soothing or it can
very,
be
very soothing. Are you
affirmative?
No, I've almost fallen asleep 5 times because you have such a mellow voice.
I don't have a lot to say.
No,
that's what you're talking about.
You have a lot to say.
That's what you're talking about. I zoned out. What was that?
Well, the truth is that I wonder sometimes if that's your real voice. Like you may have a real high-pitched voice, but you put this on. This is your radio voice.
I strain myself warming up every day. It's a lot of stretches.
That's very true.
Smoking cigars is how he gets that deep.
He does,
deep
absolutely.
I get that comment in the store a lot. It's like, is that how your voice got so deep? And Nate, what do I tell him?
That part I actually haven't heard.
I got hit hard by puberty.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The one I always remember is people would sit there and say, "Man, you got a great voice. You ever thought about doing radio?" And you would always go, "You hiring?"
Yeah, no one's hiring.
And now you go, "Well, I do a podcast."
Yeah, that's true. So as we close out, I want to get some of this rum.
What are we drinking?
Yeah,
can you? Because you brought this. Tell me what this is.
I'm smoking the Las Calaveras 2019.
I'm smoking a Las Calaveras 19 as well.
Hey, so am I.
Hey, weird.
That's my third cigar tonight.
And if you notice, Nate, I did not grab the Corona Gorda. I left that for you
because you know I like this.
Because I know you like Corona Gordas.
Well, yeah. So I told you earlier when the owner of the Tinder Box got the samples, he got 3 sizes of the Las Calaveras 2019 in
summer of this year.
Yes, and he took, I believe, the Robusto for himself, and then there was a Toro, and then this Corona Gorda, and he specifically wanted me to smoke this Corona. And the reason he said that was because he thought it was going to have more spice than the Robusto or the Toro.
Yep.
So as soon as I lit it up, immediately, right off the bat, got some spice. Not overpowering, but got some spice to it. Steve and Brian did not get spice when
off the bat.
Off the bat. When they each got about halfway through the cigar, then that spice
Boom,
kicked
there
in.
It was.
And not only did it kick in, it actually built through the rest of the cigar. Whereas mine just stayed consistent
all the way
throughout the entire cigar.
That is a testament to different sizes, different vitolas.
Absolutely. So this rum, I debated on whether or not to bring it. I brought it just because Miguel was bringing a rum, and in case we killed a bottle. But
yes, you did.
Yeah, I did not.
I saw it.
So one of my wife's cousins, who I said came up to go to the tiki bar, she brought that bottle. She gave me a bottle of that rum and a bottle of vodka. Neither one of those are my drinks of choice. I mean, so I've had this for a few months. So what is it? Portside Distillery.
All right, so
in Cleveland, Ohio.
This is batch number 7 of Portside Distillery. It is a spiced rum distilled and bottled in Cleveland, Ohio.
100 proof.
Yeah, 100 proof. On the label, it says rum infused with cinnamon, allspice, cloves, vanilla, and raisins.
Yeah. So
now this is what I can say is that I don't drink spiced rum.
You're about to.
I don't drink Kraken. I don't drink
Captain.
the Captain Morgan. I don't drink the spice rums that are out there.
You're
so
about
this
to drink Portside.
Yeah. So this is going to be. This is this is a new experience for me because to me, I don't put ice in my rum. I don't do any spice rums or really flavored rums unless it's a cocktail. So this is a new experience for me. It
smells different than what we've been sipping on.
It smells like Christmas.
I still have Diplomatico because that last pour Miguel gave me was huge.
It was healthy.
Lies.
It was healthy. While we take a sip of this, you got more?
No, go ahead.
I was going to say let's go into our closing remarks.
Oh, that I do have.
Okay, so as we go into our closing remarks, I want to thank. That's Miguel's reaction. So thank you, Miguel from Crowned Heads. He took off his glasses on that pour. And Portside, if anyone from Portside or anyone that likes this, I mean, I'd be happy to review this.
Can I tell you what it? Can I tell you what it reminds me of?
Feel free.
In a good way. It has allspice in it. Is that right?
Yes.
That is
allspice, not Old Spice.
Allspice.
ALL.
Which is a particular spice, which is the main seasoning in Jamaican jerk seasoning. Have you ever had Jamaican jerk?
Actually.
Yes.
I love it.
So as I'm sipping this,
the Steve Crane
I
special,
could easily be eating a jerk chicken wing from Jamaica, cooked on one of those oil barrels that they use. They turn into a grill.
Ooh.
This tastes like, I mean, literally, this is like eating Jamaican jerk chicken or Jamaican jerk shrimp.
And they put cinnamon on the first,
and those are components to the jerk seasoning. Are allspice, sometimes cinnamon,
cloves, maybe
cloves as well,
and vanilla and raisins.
Yeah, and not so much raisins, but
know
I got to tell you, it's very interesting. I'm not a spice rum person. I can see how fun this would be. Actually, I think this would be good mixed with Coca-Cola.
Oh yeah,
on ice.
Oh, yeah. Typical
Maybe with a little wedge of lime though. You know, I don't know what you would call that. Maybe you'd call that a spiced rum and Coke. I don't know if there's a name, or Captain and Coke.
Yeah,
sometimes
it's just a rum and Coke with a lime
But
wedge.
I gotta say, I'm I live in South Florida, but I bleed Ohio, and so I love seeing that there's a company in Ohio making a rum. So I salute you guys.
It ends its description at enjoy this rum on cool summer evenings or by the fireplace during those cold winter nights.
Well, neither are we near a fireplace, and it is not a cool.
I've got a propane heater, and it's it's kind of in the middle. I don't know if I'm cold or hot.
Yeah,
I mean, I've been in a T-shirt most of the night.
I feel like after drinking this, that either one or two things. I should be on a beach. I should be in a beach in Jamaica, eating some jerk chicken and drinking this. Or two, I feel like this is very much a Christmas flavor profile.
Yeah,
like when I walked into your mansion, your house today.
The East Wing
of the house. It definitely you have your lovely lady, girlfriend, Liz,
lady of the house.
A lady of the house definitely had the house smelling like Christmas, and I swear we
literally just poured this.
This could be
this was in the candles.
Yeah, like literally, I want to go wrap presents right now.
Nate, if you could hit Dustin.
The only time I've seen this is at the Last Call store on one of the discount tables.
By the way, I'm not making fun of this. I will say, Dustin,
it's not bad.
It's nice to have something different.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it kind of reminds me
meant for sipping, in my opinion. This is not one of those.
No, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Cleveland Brewing or Cleveland Distilling Company that I had a couple bottles of their 2013 Christmas edition, and which is a force-aged whiskey. So they classify it as a bourbon, but it's been forcefully aged. This kind of reminds
its will.
Literally, yes.
Okay.
They basically use like they basically use, think of it like a pressure cooker. That's almost how they force the whiskey in and out of the wood, is basically using pressure. Dustin,
science.
So the 2019 Christmas bourbon is out. We have it on my shelf
from Cleveland Underground.
From Cleveland,
Stay away from that.
Oh, come on! It's got a nice, pretty Christmas label on it. Looks.
Have you had it?
I've not had it. I haven't bought it, and I have kind of refused to buy it after Nate's review. But Miguel, to your point of wrapping Christmas presents, we actually put our tree up before I came tonight.
Beautiful.
And I got a picture. There's garland up, stockings up, and I guarantee you, the moment I walk back into our house, everyone else is going to be in bed, but it's going to smell like Christmas.
Yeah,
it's going to happen.
You said
my favorite time of the year.
Yeah, post that on the Bourbon and BS community page.
My favorite time of the year.
I'll do that with a bottle of Yippee-Ki-Yay sitting on the coffee
you
table.
got a campfire or no?
I don't have a campfire.
No, the High West.
No, I don't have one of those.
Right, I was gonna say,
I've got a fireplace.
We don't decorate for Christmas until after Thanksgiving.
I've been fighting that off again with the lady in the house. I lost.
Obviously.
I like it to a point. Hey, all right. So
I don't listen to Christmas music until about a week before Christmas. Just because I get tired of some of the songs.
Yeah.
And there are some songs that as soon as I hear them, I turn chill.
I've leveraged this, and I did it. You heard when you guys came in, I had Frank Sinatra playing, which I love. Frank, right? I love the whole thing. When I was eating dinner before the podcast, Liz and I were sitting at the kitchen table. I said, and I'm sorry if I say this and it turns on anyone's phone or anything like that. Mine might do it, but it said, "Hey Siri, play Frank Sinatra." And I said to Liz, I'm sure you're tired of it because I've been listening a couple weeks now with her in the car, in the house, and all that stuff. And she's like, "No, it reminds me of Christmas." I was like, perfect.
Yeah.
So for those of you that like Frank Sinatra, and you don't want to start Christmas music too soon, like you, Nate. If you like Frank Sinatra,
it's like the gateway drug to
and if you're a significant other, the people around you are like, I love Christmas music, and you're like, cool, yeah. And it's like Fly Me to the Moon comes on, and they're like, they don't know what to think.
Yeah.
Because there's been so many Christmas greats.
I got nothing wrong with any of the Rat Pack any time of the year.
This is what you play in November.
Yeah. That's a good November soundtrack.
It's a warm-up.
It's a warm-up to some Nat King Cole or...
You play that.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I agree with you. I like that. Or Frank's Christmas album.
Let that kind of bleed in. They'll filter in. They'll filter in.
Yeah.
If you got Pandora, you play Frank Sinatra radio. And then when it gets to Christmas, if you like it, you have Frank Sinatra Christmas radio. But Frank Sinatra radio will have Nat King Cole. They'll have Frank. It'll have the Rat Pack. It'll have Billie Holiday.
I forget the gentleman's name. Mel Torme, maybe. Chestnuts roasting.
Yeah.
We don't have clearance, so I won't sing anymore. We don't have clearance on that sample, I don't believe.
I don't think our mics can handle your.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So Nate, going back, we have derailed here. At the
we have derailed.
Well, the rum was good.
Can I say something before you guys do your sign off?
We're going to do the closing remarks
first.
Well, by closing remarks, I just want to say that it's always a joy to be on your show. I think it's always been...
say that's all the podcast.
No, I enjoy listening to your show. I find it very entertaining. I find that what you're doing, I hope you continue to do it. And what number is this, 94?
Episode 94.
So you have 100 coming around. The big centennial.
Roughly 6 weeks.
Yeah, centennial.
Yeah, right after
New Year's, you'll hit that 100 episode, and I hope you many more, because I think what you're doing here is great. I love the topics that you bring. It's not just about the scotch, the bourbon, the rum, or the cigar. It's more than that. Yeah. And I find it a pleasure to be here with you on the show. I've done it twice now, and I would do it 100 times more. I think it's incredible. I think you're a good human being, and I love what you're putting out there in the world. I think it's wonderful. And Nate, last time I was here, you were here part of the live studio audience. Now you're on this side. You're always a joy to be around. I totally respect you, and
thank you.
You're the human being that you are, and I just feel very classy being in a room with you two. I feel very lucky. Yeah, it was.
No, it's a big part of it.
This is great, and I hope everyone out there who's enjoying the show, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, share it with your friends, tag people in it. I think this show is so much more than cigars and bourbon. It's so much more than bourbon and BS. It's so much more than that.
A lot of BS.
And I love this show. And
thank you.
If there's one thing I could tell everyone out there is we have the holidays coming. Be a blessing. Don't be a burden. And yeah, that's it, man. That's all I got.
No, dude, you shared a lot of positive stuff.
Yeah,
which is what the topic was.
Well, and that's part of the reason why.
And good cigars.
That's part of the reason why Steve and Jake started the podcast, and the reason why after 94 episodes we've done this the way we have is there's a lot of whiskey podcasts out there. There's a lot of cigar podcasts out there. There's a lot of podcasts out there that combine the two. But it's the life topic that
100%
that makes this unique. And I don't want to speak for Steve, but Miguel, anytime you're in town, you are more than welcome.
Yeah, please don't speak for me.
Yeah, okay.
We'll see you next winter.
Once a year.
Once a year.
Well, I'll have my people talk to your people.
Yeah.
Well, if
you're welcome back.
If you're not welcome on the podcast, you're always welcome to my house.
Thank you.
I will make a vegetarian option for you.
I appreciate it, and it was very tough to get on the show. I had to go through Steve's people. There's a lot of layers of people you have to get through to actually get on the show.
Steve.
And no, there's probably he has like a dozen handlers that handle. And I made it through. I made the cut. I really appreciate it a lot. Yeah. And so thank you for that.
You can stay in the spare bedroom. It's not leaking anymore.
There's
no wet carpet.
I don't know roofing, so I can't help you there.
You.
I appreciate that.
So
it smells like Christmas. I'll sleep under the Christmas tree.
Yeah. There you go.
Your gift.
It's probably going up tomorrow. God damn
it. So for my closing remark, we're talking about lightening up. Being positive in a negative world, or not being offended all the time.
Light up and lighten up.
Yes, and what I was thinking about leading into this during the course of the last couple of days when, Miguel texted me what his idea for the podcast was, is part of it is how do you combat that? Like when you're talking about there being so much negative in the world, how do you combat that on a personal level? And for me, Miguel talked about how anytime he sees me, he thinks I'm always just a positive, happy-go-lucky person.
Yeah.
Even though, there are times where, yes, I may portray, being positive on the outside. I may not be that positive inside because of something that's going on personally. But I think part of it, the reason why I display that kind of positivity when you see me is a lot of time, anytime I'm going through a rut, anytime something bad comes up, after I have that first emotional reaction to that negative event or whatever's going on, I then actually sit back and think, how big is this in the grand scheme of things? How important is this really? How much of an impact does this really have on my life? Now, part of that, you can go a couple different ways with that. How much do you let it impact your life?
Yeah.
There's a very big difference between how much it actually impacts your life and how much you let it impact your life. And so that's one of the things that I got out of this and was thinking about, when you have those negative influences in your life or when there's negative things going on around you, distancing yourself from that or cutting that off. It doesn't mean you have to cut, if it's a person that's that negative impact on you, you don't have to cut that person out of your life entirely. You might have to.
Hardest thing.
Absolutely. Especially if it's someone that you've known for a long time.
I've been through that. It's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, so like I alluded to earlier, I have a friend of mine that I've known since middle school. Lately has, the last time I talked with them or saw anything that they posted on social media, they were a very negative person. They were negative all the time. There was nothing positive that they were putting out there. Everything was negative, and that was riling me up. That was getting me on a negative mood. And I refuse, and that's one of the things I want to stress to our listeners and our viewers, do not let other people have that much control on your emotion. Yep. Do not let them have that much impact on your life. You are responsible for taking care of you. You are responsible for how you feel, how you react. Don't give other people the power over you on how you feel and how you react to things.
100%.
So, it's easy to say. It's not easy to do because
effort.
It is effort, but when it's someone, Steve had said, sometimes you may have to cut that person out of your life. That's not an easy thing to do. That's not something to take for granted, especially if it's someone that you've known a long time and you've had a good relationship with that person in the past. That is not an easy thing to do. But at some point, you have to sit there and think, what is best for me?
Yeah.
Don't sit there and try and change the world if your life's in the shit.
Yep.
Take care of you first, and then like that domino effect, other things will fall in.
Yeah.
You take care of you, and you can have a better impact on other people around you, your circle, than if you're a negative person. You can have a better influence if you are more of a positive and a positive person than being a negative one.
Absolutely.
So now I got to take a different angle.
No, say whatever you want to say.
That was really good. I think you guys are killing it tonight. I love it. So, so before I say mine, I want to thank the sponsors one more time. I want to mention something. We forgot to do it earlier, Nate. Sponsors right now, Altadis USA, huge support. Talked to Josh Bentley today.
And congratulations to Josh and all
congratulations on the awards. Is that what you're going to say?
Part of it's congratulations on the awards. Part of it's congratulations and sorry about the extra responsibility that you have.
Yeah. He's got about 4 jobs with Altadis right now.
Well, Josh Bentley, who's a Cincinnati boy, is a great young man. He is.
You and Josh are probably the two most. You two are the people that in the industry I look up to the most.
Thank you. Josh is a wonderful guy. He's a wonderful human being.
Best dressed guy in the industry.
He is. I always bust his chops. He doesn't wear socks, and I think we should have a sock drive for Josh. Maybe next time I do the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Josh is a wonderful guy, and he won some major awards this year at a sales meeting with Altadis. So kudos to you, Josh. You're a wonderful guy.
Absolutely.
And I know you're a hell of a rep, and you got many more years in this business.
Yeah.
First year with the company, National Salesman of
the Year award.
Salesman of the Year.
He's got 2 territories now, and anyways, he's earning his responsibility right now, which is amazing. He's going to kill it. So,
but when do you ever see Josh in a negative mood or a bad mood? He's kind of like Miguel.
I've caught him run down. Last night was one of those points, but he's never negative. You're absolutely right. He was run down. 2 different things. So Altadis USA. So H. Upman, you got Romeo, you got Monte Cristo, you've got Butera, you got a handful of others through them, and a great company. Going through some transitions right now, but I know that they're going to keep killing it, and they are one of the biggest companies in the industry,
and huge supporters of this show.
Oh, huge supporters.
Supporters of this show.
You hopefully will see some changes. We've been saying it for weeks, but things take some time, so we're looking forward to that. I had a great conversation with him last night and today. Tinder Box at Easton. That's where it all starts at. So. All of you that are bourbon drinkers, rum drinkers, you like to tune in for the live topics, find yourself a place like Tinder Box at Easton that is a community for you. It's not just about the product or anything like that, but it's something that you want to find. Bobby Hirschman's been tuning in here and commenting, and he's got a great place. Bobby, remind me in the comments before you go watch Chicago Fire or whatever you're going to watch right now at 10 o'clock. What your shop is, we'll give you a shout out. And then BS Cigar Company, we've got the BS Silver in 3 sizes right now. Espinosa makes a great product for us. It was a great privilege to blend with them. And then the BS Gold's coming back. Stay tuned for that. I'm excited about that and can't wait for you guys' feedback.
Bobby hangs out in a great shop in Westchester, PA.
Old Havana
Cigar Shop in Westchester, PA. It's a great shop. It's a really interesting shop. You go in, there's the register, then there's the walk-in humidor, and the lounge is in the back. You wouldn't know it was there.
And now he's got a patio.
Yeah, and Bobby actually, he holds court there.
Yeah.
Bobby holds
based
court
on what
there.
I know of Bobby
so
far.
And Bobby's a good guy. Bobby's a great guy.
He will shoot you straight based on my interaction with him so far.
Yeah, Bobby's a good dude.
So thank you, Bobby. He wants us to do, if I'm not mistaken, a crown night. So we'll have to see if we can get him in the garage, if he can travel and get away from the shop. So I'm going to take a different angle here from Nate, because you hit a lot of the points that I wanted to say earlier, and we've actually...
Sorry.
You did a great recap, actually, and I appreciate that, of what Miguel talked about, what you've talked about, and you kind of tied it all in. So just for my closing remarks, I'll try to be brief and hopefully stay true to that. For me, with the whole topic, and Miguel, thank you for the great cigars.
Thank you.
And being a great guest. We want to get, and I'm going to say it on video and audio, that we would love to have you at this Smoking 10 event.
Yeah.
And when John Huber listens to this,
if you can grease some wheels
without going overboard, if we're good right now, John, you're invited to the Smoking 10 event.
It's a great time.
2020.
It's a great time.
We'll get you up on stage, and you can. I guarantee that your sales will go up.
Pontificate on crown heads.
Yeah, that's right. And then if not, within reason, let us know what we need to order to get you to Columbus, Ohio, so that our fans and our attendees can get you to join Miguel out there, even though Miguel...
We've got a hell of a lineup lined up for next year.
We're not there yet. Don't give away anything.
I'm not giving away anything, but we've got a hell of a lineup so far.
Come January, you'll hear about it. All
That's right.
So, Nate, you left me with this.
You make it sound like I took away something.
No, you actually hit. I mean, you did well. You hit everything. The whole light up and lighten up, the offended thing, that topic. You're putting your hat on. You're feeling self-conscious? A little bit.
Well, I'll focus on Steve.
The staying positive in a negative world, I'm going to say, and sometimes it sounds cliche, life sucks sometimes.
Yep.
And life's going to suck.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to go through shit. I mean, how many times, Miguel, in your even cigar life, we didn't even get into your personal life, but in your cigar career life, were you redirected? I'll say it that way, because you were not necessarily fired, you weren't anything, but like, how many times did you panic because shit hit the fan?
I've been with 2 companies that were sold,
right,
and
you lost your job after that,
and yeah, basically in the new company there was no position for us sales guys at the new company, and that's happened to me twice.
Yeah,
and you either roll with it, you let it get you down, or you just keep going.
Did you hit a dark moment?
I remember the second company that I worked for that sold was the first time I did not have a job.
How'd that feel?
And that
was sudden.
That was
sudden and out of the blue.
The company. How did you feel?
I felt lost.
Right.
And I remember walking through the mall because I had nowhere to go that day with my wife and my brother-in-law going, what do I do now?
You're going to a place to spend money, and you just got
we're just walking around, and you let go, and you're. But I've been through that twice, where companies have been acquired, and they don't need all the sales guys, and they kind of let you go. And I've been very blessed, and again, it's about what you put out.
Yeah,
being a positive person, being a hard worker, being a good sales guy. Your phone starts ringing off the hook from job offers. That's a good feeling to have.
You're in a good industry that's very inbred.
Yeah, and part of that is what you've put out over those 7 years or those 5 years you spent with those companies. Your phone starts ringing. You know you've done something right. And if your phone's not ringing, there's something you've done wrong.
That's
and
right.
I've been very blessed to be on the side where my phone has been ringing off the hook.
Yeah.
And so you take that as a blessing, and you take that as I'm doing something right. Let me keep doing that.
So when life sucks, you got to stay positive.
You have to.
That's everything. Like it's everything we talked about tonight. When you've gotten to the point where you find yourself in a tough spot, you find yourself, you're surrounded. Even if you're in a good spot and you're surrounded by your social media, we talked about a lot tonight. When it comes to the negative circles, and logging on to Facebook, logging on to Instagram, whatever it might be.
But also the positive circles.
Hang on.
Okay.
When they are out there, yes, but when it's something that you're putting yourself through.
Yeah.
And what you're gravitating to is the negative, because that's what feels like home at the moment. You got to somehow, like I said, it all starts with you. And that's when you have to start taking care of yourself. Light up and lighten up. It's something that when we talk about that, the way I looked at the topic, the actual topic is that you got to find a hobby. You got to find something that makes you happy. Something has to be the first step. So it's something that you gotta dig yourself out, because there's a lot of hands out there that are going to try to do it, and I've been that hand. I've also had hands given to me, and I've rejected those hands, and they've been there, but they stopped reaching their hand out. They're just there for when I reach my hand out, and when I reach my hand out, that is when I finally did the whole focus thing. That's when I kept going after it. I kept I was going after it, and yet still allowing myself to be miserable.
Yeah.
It was one of those things that it is. It's a self-inflicted thing a lot of the times.
Yeah.
And so when it comes down to it, it's start with yourself first. Get sleep. For God's sake, get some sleep. I'm telling you.
That's so underrated.
I mean, I brought it up last week late in the podcast, and I wanted to bring it up earlier in the podcast, and it's something that I've learned, that as even when things are going well, I complicate things up here in my head when I don't allow myself to get enough rest.
Yeah.
When I don't take enough time for me.
Yep.
And you don't always I find myself having to sometimes get just a day off where I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do shit. I don't want to be around people. I don't want to do any of that stuff because I'm burnt out. And it's not because I don't enjoy being around people.
Yeah.
But it's that I've done it for days on end, and my battery is low. That's a problem. Don't let your battery get low.
Yep.
When you go to bed at night, what do you guys do? You plug in your phone.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. You need to plug yourself in.
Plug yourself in.
Yep.
Get some rest. Give yourself some time to charge just right next to your phone.
And
we don't charge as fast as the technology today.
You're right.
I'll tell you that.
It's something that, you talk about going to the gym, and I heard this said by somebody. I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was, but what I found, too, by going to the gym, sometimes you can let all that stress out on the weights. You can really kind of let that go. And I heard a great saying that going to the gym isn't always about vanity. Sometimes it's about sanity.
It is.
And it's
there's a T-shirt.
And letting it out on the weights. Maybe that's grilling. Maybe that's playing video games. Maybe that's something, but finding an outlet for that and finding your way to get back on track.
Well, and on top of that, I'll say this is that when you actually realize what's making you happy, that's the big step, right? So, and I don't want to take it negative. I'm just saying, like, we talked about the fitness thing and everything else, and that's an easy go-to. We talk about a lot on the podcast because it's typically male-driven, and females go through this as well, is that self-concept and self-image is a huge impact that actually bleeds into all this stuff. And when you're unhappy, we talked about it, you're going to lash out at other people. You're going to try to bring people down to your level. Don't do that. Fix yourself. You know what I mean? Find out what you're not happy about. If it's not your job, go get another job. Figure it out. What do you got to do to get another job?
Yeah.
If you're not happy with the way you look in the mirror, feel sorry for yourself, one. And then two, how do you stop feeling sorry for yourself? So there's a lot that goes into it. Is Light Up and Lighten Up, to me, was a subject that, when Miguel said being positive in a negative world, it's that simple thing is being positive, and I've said it several times in the podcast, and I'll leave it at that, is that it's an action. There's an effort there. So the people that you see that walk into your life, like Miguel, and Miguel said about Nate, that you walk away from these people and like, how the fuck are they so happy? Mm-hmm. They're trying.
Yeah.
They are trying.
Because we've all had negative things. We've all gone through negative things.
And they're not, and neither of you guys have, like, it's all not all sunshine and rainbows,
Sometimes coming through something negative will make you a better person. And I learned that through the brain tumor that I had back in 07, 08.
You're going to bring that up at this point in the podcast.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Come on, man.
I am a better human being today after going through that than I was before. Whatever it is you go through, you can be a better person.
All right, who's ready for hour 3?
We don't have a great show.
It was a great show. No,
Jess, come pick me up.
We'll have pour me a little bit more of this spiced rum, and we will cheers. We'll cheers out of this. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. I really enjoyed this, Miguel. Sorry it's been so long having you on the podcast. And you're a podcast celebrity at this point. I have seen you on multiple podcasts and listened to you on multiple podcasts. You always have impactful things to say, whether it be about life or baseball.
Yes.
Or everywhere in between. Nate, thank you very much for doing a double duty. Dustin, thank you very much for
Dustin behind
down
the camera. You're the best, man.
And commenting with everyone, and then Content Kyle, or Kyle B. Smith Photography, more accurately these days. Check him out if you guys are looking for a photographer in the Columbus area. He knows what he's doing. We're trying to prove it on ours. We appreciate his support. He doesn't always work for cigars. He needs to actually be paid, but he does good
Cigars don't put gas in the car.
They don't. They don't. So, guys, cheers. Very much a lot of thanks. And episode 94, Bourbon BS Podcast, back to Whiskey Wednesdays. We will see you next week on Wednesday. And hopefully, if everything falls through and does well, Jake Sanders will be back in the garage for a limited time. I don't know. I mean, we don't know what he's going to do. He'll be back, but we don't know when. But
we don't yet know Jake's full-time schedule.
We don't. So hopefully he'll be back more often, but he'll be a guest/host for the first time next week. Cheers, guys. Happy Whiskey Wednesday.
Cheers.
Cheers.